Oh, there we go. Streaming to Twitch. Sending data to YouTube.
We're live on Twitch right now.
We are live on Twitch and YouTube.
I'm on the
currently.
internet.
You are on the internet.
Oh,
nothing seems to be going on with Facebook. That was a
That's
try.
what was expected, though.
It was expected, but it's still unfortunate.
Also disappointing.
Yeah.
Should I get Facebook just to subscribe to your show?
No.
Okay.
I won't do that to you. Also, if anything, well, I want to say that live, but
yeah, fair enough.
you know where I'm going.
Yep. Yeah, it would be your fault.
Right? And then be like, oh, you're never living that down. Because you wanted one extra click. You ruined the whole family.
Yep.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
But
Cool. Okay. I don't think there's anything else that I need to have happen. We're not going to have music going in the background because the audio might be a bit of an issue anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. How you been?
Good.
Other than Whiplash, which we just watched together, have you been watching anything recently, or?
That is definitely the most recent movie I've watched.
That's fair. That was 2 days ago?
That and Despicable Me 4.
That doesn't count. We could talk about that one, because, I mean, we talked about Whiplash on the show not that long ago, but...
I really enjoyed it. I'll say that.
Whiplash?
Oh,
That's a good point. I didn't get your take on Whiplash. They know my take on Whiplash.
Yeah.
How did you
really
feel about
enjoyed it. I mean, I liked the darkness. It worked for that particular film in a really effective way. I think it's a great story. I think the ending, I don't recall what you said beforehand about it.
Just that I was physically exhausted when it ended. I had to
Accurate.
pry myself off of the chair like it was a roller coaster.
And I think the ending is left a little bit ambiguous, right? As far as their relationship and
Oh, fair. Okay. I think the fact that it's solidified as great is pretty much nailed down.
That's nailed down. But as far as the interpretation of, what does the rest of the relationship mean and look like, and do they kill each other? Do they go on tour? Yeah.
I think it's
now we're opening with spoilers. We're just gonna
it's an older movie that we've talked about before.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Probably shouldn't go further.
They should have watched it when you told them to,
right?
And then they wouldn't have this problem. That's
good news. Just going forward. Just when I tell you to do something, audience, you should just do it. Like and subscribe. No,
that'll get them commenting anyway. Yeah,
nothing says July 4th like telling people what to do. Happy Freedom Day.
Somebody's throwing something in the river.
This can be edited out. Cut real fast. Oh man. Now we did see Despicable Me 4 in theaters last night. Did you stay awake?
Not quite.
No, you didn't.
Almost.
I was sitting beside Dad, and he was kind of nodding a couple of times.
Yeah,
I was stretching my neck, is what we'll call it.
I was stretching my eyelids. Yeah, what I was doing.
It was a movie.
Yeah, it was a movie. Yeah.
It was maybe the most
I've seen
random collection of just events that happened for an hour and a half. We're just like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're jumping through the school looking for the honey badger, and you're just like, why is this the movie that's happening right now? I had not seen apparently one of them because I didn't even know he went good.
Okay. Well, sort of. That was the first and second one. I think
he goes good in the first one.
Well, he changes.
He gains the kids, but I thought he gained the kids and was still kind of
Well, he still wants to steal the moon in the first one. It's kind of more towards the end. He's like, well, how do I live now?
Fair.
And then the second one, he officially kind of starts working for the Anti-Villain League. Why are we still talking about this movie?
It's literally what the show is. Just give me a second.
And then the second and third, and apparently fourth, he's working for the Anti-Villain League as more of a James Bond figure who still has these kind of, conflicted, partially evil, parts of himself. The first one was the one where he enjoyed being bad, and that was the most entertaining of the whole series.
I thought that was kind of the whole point of the series, is that he was a bad guy, and then
despicable, really. Yeah,
kind of changes the whole title.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, of the movies that we were also discussing, which for the audience out there would be, of course, SLC Punk.
Yes.
Interstellar.
Yes.
potentially Snatch, and like these are all the ones that were on my top
Okay.
20 list that Jonathan has not seen or has not seen recently.
I've seen
Oh,
the
and Sing
top
Street.
20 list, just to be clear.
Sure.
When I came to a movie I hadn't seen that I got enough to know it was on your list, I tended to skip to the next movie
Fair enough.
because I didn't want any spoilers and because I wanted to get your take after I'd seen the movie. But I
Okay.
knew once it was on your list that high, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to watch that movie now. I don't want to hear anything about it because that really can ruin a movie experience for me.
For sure.
I really want to be on the ride. I have a friend who doesn't watch any movie trailers, and I'm a little torn because I love watching movie trailers, and I find movie trailers destroy a lot of movies.
So my wife doesn't care about spoilers at all. Like, you could tell at the end of the movie, she'd be like, oh, that sounds fun. Let's go watch it. I'll be like, you know what's going to happen. I don't understand.
Exactly.
So that drives me insane, but it works for her, so be it. It's a nice way to be like, oh, I just watched this movie, and I'm going to tell you all about it
Yeah.
and not ruin it for you. So it kind of works in that regard.
Last time we talked about trailer twist endings.
Yeah.
Right? And that is like one of my favorite movie experiences is like,
Especially if you
being
don't
blown
know the
away.
twist is coming. Like,
Yeah.
you always try and
Yeah.
outthink it if they're like, oh, there's a twist to this movie. Like, we
Exactly.
both watched Old Boy after making that list.
yes.
And
yeah.
both of us were kind of like, okay, what's the twist going to be?
Right. And
But,
then-
like,
and
when
that
you
one we
don't know
actually
what's coming-
overthought the whole thing, but yeah.
Yeah. When you're
Yeah.
just watching a movie and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is not the movie I thought it was. That's an amazing experience going.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen that often, apparently, because both of us, I think, struggled a little bit with making that list and not having it just be shock endings. But
Yeah, exactly. For me, like I watched Usual Suspects in the 90s. It was just a random rental at the time,
Sure.
the release. And that was an example of like a really good experience with that. Whereas like this is just a straight up 90s heist movie. They're doing some technology things. They're finding new ways to, steal things. And next thing you know, there's like this,
whole other plot. Yeah, I remember
Exactly.
that
That's
one
not
hitting.
the movie I knew I was watching.
Yeah.
And it was like, let's rewind and watch that again.
I definitely remember that one hitting pretty hard where you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
So like I must not have known there was a twist or anything going on there,
Yeah.
which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, as far as we were just talking about trailers going, the problem that I find is I watch a lot of movie podcasts, and so if I'm not up on things, they're going to tell me
They're going to
things.
spoil you.
So I either need to make sure that I watch the trailer ahead of time or avoid podcasts for a couple of days.
Right.
So like Deadpool and Wolverine is the new one that's coming out soon, and I already know that I'm going to see it 100%. So it was just that like I'm going to avoid these trailers as hard as possible, and I did for about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And just stop listening to some podcasts because I knew if that's what they're going to be talking about, I don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah.
And then super hypocritically had a buddy on the show and we went over all the movie trailers for the summer. And how do you not talk about Wolverine and Deadpool in that situation?
Being
Because it's one of the biggest movies
of
of the summer. Like,
yeah.
all right, well, I guess I'll watch it for content. Hey, Ciro, how you doing, bud? We're trying something here with my brother, but we only have the one microphone. Does it sound okay? We're trying to project a little bit and make sure that it can get volume there. Let us know if you can hear us okay. Otherwise, we haven't started the show proper just yet. We're going to just kind of vamp for a little bit. We're not recording yet because this
that's
will all
what I
get
mean.
edited out anyways.
Not recording.
Yeah. But we're live streaming, and then like if all goes well, once we're ready to go, we can hit that record button and keep going. Same thing that we did last time with the top 5, where we'll probably have a conversation, ignore chat a little bit, and then stop talking when you get to like let you talk about one movie, discuss it back and forth, finish that movie, talk to the audience, and then go back to your next one. So if you have a question or something you want to say, feel free to put it in chat. We might not get to it right away, but we will try and read as many of the comments as we can, assuming it doesn't go crazy in here. Wiley's here, so is hiding from real life.
Oh boy.
How are you guys doing? Sounds fine. Nice to see your little brother in real life. How does that feel?
I noticed you changed all the chairs around before I came over.
This has always been my throne. I paid good money for this thing. I'm not sitting in that broke ass.
It's your daughter's kindergarten stool I got.
Pretty much. I gave you a pillow. I tried to make it a little bit better. You want another pillow?
I'm fine. I'll just trust the audience to know that I am older.
He's a little quiet. You're projecting like normal. I do have that
Yeah.
naturally built in.
Yeah, that's genetic. That's not technology.
No, it's mildly a skill. It's mostly just my lungs.
Yeah.
As you know, people who know me in real life will attest to. Like, I'm not. This isn't even me.
This is your quiet voice.
Like, this is me playing a board game voice. Like,
pretty much.
I'm gonna win. The kids are asleep. Sorry. It's fine when he speaks up. All right, so there you go.
Yeah.
Good tip. There you go. You're getting directed by the audience.
I get that a lot, actually.
The audience directing you what to do.
I do some presenting,
Okay.
and consistently I present the way that particular thing I do presents. It's a day-long training, and I tend to get the section in the afternoon. And over and over, and I've probably taught it like 60 times, and the feedback forms are like, well, after lunch, listening to Jonathan's voice is really soothing, but I was like falling asleep listening to him.
So you were talking a little quietly there, and I was like, raise it up a little bit, and then I realized your eyes were closed while you were talking. I'm like, that doesn't help. That's not helpful.
I'm just saying, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you doing? I don't know how much you want to talk about your
Yeah,
actual
that's
professional
fine.
life, but
Yeah.
like, were you doing it primarily over video calls during COVID and all?
I
that?
was doing it since 2010, and we moved to video calls over COVID,
Okay.
and we've just kind of moved back to live and in person.
So talking to a camera isn't entirely new to you. It's just weird
no,
that you're not
yeah.
talking directly to somebody else on the camera.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah. When I present, I can't really see the audience because I've got screens full of content and PowerPoint and that sort of thing.
That's me too. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
my audience is that
You
little
can see your
window there
audience,
where
yeah.
they just get to say things.
I
But
just get the forms later as like, speak up.
we get that live.
Yeah, that's right there.
Where's the talented one? Like, oh,
That's right.
I still have people asking for you in chat every now and then. We'll see. We were on live earlier today, so I did already give it a shout out to some people.
Oh,
but thank
nice.
you very much for thank you very much. Happy 4th of July for everybody out there celebrating that. We are your, top hat neighbors to the north, so we did our celebration a couple of days ago, but
That's right.
it's nice to have that day off. We have some family, do a barbecue and whatnot. I was talking to a lot of people who are spending some time out by the pool this morning. We got some people in the Midwest, I want to say it was kind of rainy and not the greatest day, but regardless,
about right,
always nice to have a day off. Sorry, I started and then we kind of got sidetracked.
No problem.
Of the movies that are still on the list that you were hoping to see, is there one that stands out to you as far as like, oh man, that one I'd really be curious to revisit or visit for the first time?
Out of your list,
Out of my list, which
that
was
I
like
want to watch
Sing Street,
or rewatch.
Sing Street, SLC Punk, Interstellar, and Snatch, I think were the 4 left because we did watch Whiplash, which was the 5th.
I want to see all of those movies.
We don't have that much
I
time.
realize
Okay.
we will not. Oh, I'll say this about Whiplash. We were talking about spoilers.
Sure. Sure were. Where's this going?
Well, famously, the movie poster, the iconograph,
Iconography?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. There's always blood on the drumstick,
Oh, okay.
and I really thought someone was going to die in that movie.
Just their
And
soul.
I thought I knew who was going to die. And I was okay with it.
A little part of them
And
dies
nobody
constantly.
died. Yeah.
Hey, spoilers.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
There are people
Put your
thinking-
banner on.
There are people who think it's a murder mystery
That's right.
from that movie
exactly.
poster.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was. It looks like a good old. There's not the actual movie cover, but there's somewhere where I saw a mock-up poster or one of those. The ones where it's more like a 3-color poster. It's on your poster. I don't know. Where I
Oh,
saw it.
okay.
Where it's
Yeah.
with that kind of art.
It is on my movie poster, and I want to say it's just the snare drum, the 2 sticks,
Yeah.
and a little bit of blood. So
Yes.
that would make
Yeah,
sense.
that's maybe where I saw it. And
Definitely gives that vibe.
right. So yeah, it looks like the old Agatha Christie murder mystery novels. Those covers
The
with
mum
three
head lying
colors
around everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, Grandma and Granddad. Yeah. And so I really did think it was like going in that direction. And then, I mean, what little I knew about the movie suggested that might be okay.
I think it's
I
actually
really
more
liked-
tense than most murder mysteries
Oh,
that I've
yeah.
seen, though. Like, they
Yeah,
do a
it was
great job
excellent.
building tension,
And the
considering it's a movie about jazz.
the psychological tension, the good and bad of the relationship with the bad guy, like the push pull, right? Like that whole love hate thing. I think that they really did a good job of capturing that dynamic of the abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what made it interesting, but also what made it exhausting. Yeah,
Am I crazy for saying
probably
that as much as you hate J.K. Simmons' character, you do understand where he's coming from? Like, you understand what his goal is? Do you know what I mean? Like, I would not want to be friends with him. I would not want to be a student of his. I just, like, I'm not saying he's a good person, but, like,
Yeah.
he's not, like, you see some people in, like, say, Harry Potter or something, like, that woman in pink is just straight up sadistic.
Right.
Whereas this guy, as much as he is a jerk, you're like,
think,
okay, I understand where you're going.
What you're saying is that he believes he's doing the right thing genuinely.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying.
He's not a mustache twirling villain.
I think for me, he is a mustache twirling villain.
Fair.
Just to be clear, because he is, like, I would say, and maybe I'll watch it again soon. Now that I've seen the whole movie and just get a fresh
If not
eyes on
less
the whole
tense the
thing.
second time.
Yeah,
Having seen
I
it
got
3
you saying
times,
that.
I was still
Yeah.
like,
But just to see if my perspective on this changes, but I see him as a psychological abuser,
oh yeah,
and I like the kid in the movie has this motivation for greatness, right?
yeah,
And he is already sacrificing relationships for greatness, the family, the date, right?
yeah.
In a number of ways. So I just don't come at life that way. I don't have that kind of ambition.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I'm content with my lack of greatness. It'll come up actually in the
Yeah, that's
list.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No spoilers. Yeah.
Some spoilers.
And so for me, that's just like horrific, like hard to imagine, I guess. I think the kid probably would come to understand the other character, and maybe that's even hinted at the end of the movie. Maybe that's even hinted at the end of the movie more so than I think the audience is sympathetic with the villain.
Now, out of curiosity, there's nothing we can know.
He's
about
like
this.
a junior villain, essentially. The way he treats his family, the way
kid?
he treats, yeah,
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
Like
he gets harder, and look, we don't
Yeah.
see a whole lot of him pre-meeting. Well, we
Yeah.
see basically none of him
he takes
pre-meeting
it down to
J.K.
the
Simmons.
movies right after. But
Yeah,
that's it.
and
Yeah.
he tries to have a relationship. He reaches out to that girl before
Yeah.
realizing, no, this is not the life
I
for
can't
me.
do both.
Do
Yeah.
you think there's any world where at the end of it you seem to get just full on spoilers at this point, guys? Sorry.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons, when he realizes what's happening, seems to respect him a little bit, gives him that like
Yeah,
you keep
totally.
going, fixes the symbol for him when he could have just let him fail. How much do you think that would change their relationship if there was to ever get a Whiplash 2? Do you think he would see him as a peer or an equal or as a positive, or do you think he would just like, no, I pushed you this far to make you great, I have to keep pushing you to make you better, like I have to refine the
Can
diamonds?
he become a peer? Should he become a peer? Two different questions.
That's totally fair.
right. And I think you could. I mean, if I was writing Whiplash 2, you could go in a few different directions with that.
Yeah.
And the audience. That's what I was saying about the ending being somewhat ambiguous, because they could walk off that stage and one of them could kill the other.
They can do it on the stage, right?
They
Like,
can do it on this stage. They almost did. Couple of times.
that was the previous performance.
I really thought, yeah, exactly. Thought we were going to get a repeat of that. Yeah, you could take Whiplash 2 in a few different directions, right?
Yeah.
And
They shouldn't. There should not be a second.
no.
one.
I'm
Like,
just
I'm
saying.
making that clear.
Yeah.
Just curious.
As
What do you think the next 10 minutes
mental
look like?
exercise? Yeah, exactly. But it was a fascinating movie. It was very. It feels like there's kind of one focus, but it's actually multifaceted, right? In its own way, you
Yeah.
know, like it goes to many different depths of that, and right from. I mean, the characters are the characters. I didn't feel there was like any inconsistencies in the way they were presented, and everything is quite intentional. Particularly the villain. I don't know what to call him. I was going to call him the
Teacher?
abuser. Yeah, I guess
Antagonist?
whatever. Like everything from his wardrobe to the manner in which he speaks, right? To that first interaction is so brief, but it sets that tone and it's consistent throughout the movie. Like his interactions are that, right?
Yeah.
It's
he is in control and he is messing with you, just either to mess with you or to see how you're going to handle it.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now we are already about 9:30 or so. Do we want to start getting into your list and actually do this properly? We've gone pretty deep
probably
into
should.
Whiplash.
Yeah,
if we're going to go anywhere close to this deep on each of your movies, we're going to need as much time as possible.
We can sail through a few. I'll give you that.
Yeah. All right.
I will. You started the show. I'll talk a little bit about how I created this list and why there's some surprises on and off.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be surprises on. I think there's going to be surprises off. And we can talk about that.
All right. So first off, I'll just address Windstorm real quickly here. First off, happy 4th of July to everybody out there celebrating it. I will probably be saying that multiple times throughout the stream, but you know, it's America. I was gonna say it's Canada.
Yeah.
It's Independence Day. Of course, we're gonna address it. Windstorm, just so you know, if you do stick around for it, what we're gonna be doing is, because we're trying to make this into a podcast eventually, is while we're talking about Jonathan's list here, we will just talk to each other and kind of ignore chat a little bit. And then in between movies, we'll address chat. So if you have anything you want to pipe up and say, whether the movie he picked was right, wrong, stupid, you like him, whatever, feel free to say that in chat and we will get to it. For the YouTube people, we can see your chat as well. If you want to say anything, just whatever you want to do. So we won't address chat right away, but we will address chat. So if you do have something to say, feel free to get it out there. Yeah. All right, now I'm going to try something. Let's go side. Nope, you can still see you over there.
You don't want to see me?
Well, I was gonna do the intro. I guess I can probably zoom in a little bit. Don't play with your belly button. Nobody.
I'm still too on the camera. Is this distracting? Is this distracting? Is this distracting?
You'd be shocked at how much I can tune things out.
Yeah, I'm amazed.
Amy's constantly amazed. My wife is constantly amazed how much I can just ignore everything around me. You know, sometimes it's beneficial.
I meant in her opinion. Am I taking home one of these cameras?
So if we jump, no, because I don't have the seconds. I don't have the one to replace it yet.
See, you can't ignore everything.
Well, when you're talking about stealing my expensive crap, yeah, I kind of zoom in.
There's video evidence.
All right. The acknowledgement is nice, though. Yeah, absolutely, bud. It is an American thing, you know. It's not like Canada declared its independence from Britain over 200 years ago. No, it was 165 years ago? 167? What are we even at?
It's over 150.
Yeah, that's pretty much how much I care, too.
Math.
Or history.
It's like Independence Day, but for Canadians.
It was like Independence Day, but a lot politer. Yeah. Like, we'd like to be our own country, eh?
We've done it all with letters. If you done the whole thing with letters, and everybody agreed, and it's
all right.
3 letters.
Shut up. You got your list? You good to go?
My list.
All right.
I'm locked in.
I need to remember that's the camera I'm actually looking at. Oh, we should probably record.
One of us should.
Shut up. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mongoolie Show. Now, this is a very special episode of the Flicks That Make You Tick because I am joined live in studio with my brother, Jonathan. He's been on the show a couple of times. We do the top 5 together, but he's in town now, so we figured we might as well get together and actually record something while we're able to have a conversation. It's so much nicer to record right with somebody next to you as opposed to over the internet. Now, the downside to this is I do only have the one microphone, so if there are any sound issues, I do apologize. We're going to try and place it in such a way, and I'm going to make him talk up a couple of times throughout the show so that when we do have a conversation, you should be able to hear all of it. Other than that, we're going to jump right into it with the Flicks That Make You Tick with Dan and Jonathan.
Hello.
How are you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing great. It's
Excellent.
great to be here. It's great to be on vacation, as you'd expect, I suppose.
Yeah, no, vacations are generally well done.
People are pro vacation.
Hot take.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Weird.
That's right.
Yeah, so you came down, you're from another province. You came down here,
Yeah.
You spent the week with us. We had Canada Day
Yes.
celebrations. Today is July 4th, though, so we got a lot of Americans out there celebrating Independence Day. So
we got our fireworks first. That's, yeah. Now it's out of our system, and here we are.
yeah. So happy Independence Day for all the Americans out there celebrating it. And most of you, I'm sure, won't be catching this live, but whenever you do catch it, we appreciate you being here. Now, Jonathan, you made this list. Whenever I do this with a guest, I kind of just say the title of the show is The Flicks That Make You Tick, and I kind of leave that up to you to interpret that. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you. What was your interpretation? Sure. How did you build this list?
So I really went with the title, The Flicks That Make You Tick. And so one of the things I didn't really, you also gave me a pretty firm 5 to 10 limit.
Which you didn't listen to.
No, but it was still firm.
Can't be that firm.
The intent was firm. The intent was firm. And so I'm thinking about 5 to 10 movies. I think about that title, The Flicks That Make You Tick. And so the way I did this list is kind of biographical. And I pulled in some movies that were really important at different points in my life. I'll talk about the stories of each of those. So this is not my 10 favorite movies necessarily. There will be some of that. This is not necessarily the 10 movies I've seen the most times. There's a lot more of those that aren't on this list. There's probably not even the most quotable movies, although there's a few of those made the list as well, just because of the where and the when and all that of those movies.
Now we do our top 5 episodes like once a month or so.
Yeah.
Now, did you purposefully stay away from things because you were thinking future top 5 episodes? You didn't want to repeat yourself?
There was some things one thing that I for sure left off because we've addressed it at some length in a previous top 5. There's one that I did include that's been on a previous top 5. We'll see it when we get to it, and it's probably the arguably worst movie on either list.
Curious.
I thought I'd throw that out there. And then there's I didn't take anything off my list or add it because of your list. I only saw your list recently, a few days ago. But the movies that would have overlapped with your list didn't make this list because of the way I defined the list. If I'd said the top 20 movies, do you think
we could do an honorable mentions of that at the very end, where you could be like,
I'll highlight
where the overlap would have been?
The overlap would have been. Yeah,
okay.
We could definitely talk about that because there's not really another list for them. I just didn't want to have 20 movies.
Nor did I.
I was supposed to have 5 to 12.
Yeah. All right. So are these lists, is this list put into an order of any kind, or is this just like...
Because I went biographical, I kind of went in chronological order.
Okay.
And also, to be fair, did pick my favorites if there was kind of a few different, things. But there's kind of a story behind about half of them, I would say, half to most. And some of them, they're in there in spite of not being my favorites, but being significant for whatever reason. So we'll talk a bit about that. But I think it suits the title that you gave these episodes.
Very true. Now, the one question I generally ask everybody when they come on the show, when I asked you to be on this, when I gave you the list, you don't have to tell me what it is. Mm-hmm. Was there a movie that just shot to the front of your brain like, this is absolutely, I'm talking about this one? Looks like a yes.
It's embarrassing. It'll come.
Okay.
When you gave me the list, there was one that popped into my mind. I will highlight it when it comes. And I think everyone, including me, will be shocked. Everyone that knows me, will be a little shocked. But there was one, and the whole time I've been thinking about this list, which has got to be about a month now, there's just been this gnawing, painful feeling like I'm going to forget something completely stupid. Yeah. I made another whole list of kind of underrated movies that I really like while I was doing this list, because they weren't really personal, as significant as some of the movies on this list. But I kept coming up with these movies that were kind of on the fringe that I would really love to talk about another time.
So be on the lookout for top 5 underrated movies coming soon from the Mongooly Show, starring John and Dan. All right, before we get into so there's 12, right?
It turns out there's about 12.
Okay, so before we get into your number 12, just a little bit of house cleaning. If you're enjoying this, please feel free to hit the follow button on Twitch or follow one of these links to either my movie YouTube channel or my Facebook page. We can't broadcast on Facebook until we get 100 followers. Please stop doing that. So if you can help me out with that, that'd be amazing. And if you want to see these great content, like I do edit these videos down to make it a little bit shorter, you can check those out on the YouTube channel. Not my regular gaming YouTube channel, though. There's a movie one that's a little bit different. Feel free to go hit that subscribe button. All right, Jonathan. Excellent. What is your number 12? I guess this is the oldest movie on your list.
Let's not call it number 12.
Sure. What is that
start
correct,
over.
though? We're
Start
starting
the list, John.
It's fine. We're starting like chronological, so this will be like 77, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, I'll give you the movie. I'll just start.
But like, are they done in that? Like you said, it's done chronologically. So you're starting oldest,
so
getting to newest.
This would be a movie I appreciated when I was like 7, 5.
Winnie the Pooh
probably.
is? Okay.
Yeah, no, but yes.
Okay. All right, so let's actually we can redo that. That's fine because we went straight from an ad to this, so we can actually. All right, so Jonathan, where are we going to start with this list? We're going back as far as we can with this one. This is one that you liked when you were a kid.
Yeah, this whole movie holds up, but this is one I was introduced to, and so these are kind of in seasons of my life. This is my grandfather really enjoyed the movies. I think all his life. It was a big treat for him as a kid. Growing up with not a lot of money, like all of our grandparents probably, and so that was always a joy for him. And sharing some of those movies with his grandkids was a real passion. And so I remember being introduced specifically to a number of movies: The Three Stooges, The Wizard of Oz, blast, Dr. Dolittle was one once. I think. Abbott and Costello.
We had very different childhoods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turns out I'm a lot older in the some of the nuances.
In a short amount of time, you became a lot older than I did.
Exactly.
Okay.
Those were 5 critical years apparently. I would stay with my granddad when he still lived in Toronto, and we would go together to the video store and rent videos and go back and watch movies. So all those movies I was mentioned, that's how I watched them. This is one I remember together watching as well. And I can see him kind of leaning forward in his chair and his false teeth falling out sometimes when he's, getting really excited and laughing. And this is still a favorite of mine. It's one I enjoy watching with the kids and this is The Adventures of Robin, and this is the 1937, I think, the Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, and they made a bunch, 6 movies maybe together, something like that. He actually gave me a different one of their movies together, Captain Blood, where there's a piracy thing going on, and he gave me that one on video. But this is my favorite of those movies and of the movies he introduced me to. This is a lifelong favorite. I love this movie so much. I don't know if I ever owned it on VHS, but I remember I thought it was kind of obscure. I think just because it was really old and it was relatively hard to find on VHS. When it came out on DVD, I was in a Walmart. I was going to a football game with a bunch of friends and my wife. We went to we walked from Walmart to the stadium. We're watching this game. We were getting bullied, and at the football, not us, our team.
Sure.
Just to be clear, I think I've had both
Your
happen.
D-Day grandfather's getting bullied. This is interesting. I'd like to see the story play out.
This is 3 decades later. These are DVDs. I'm with my wife and some friends at the football game. And all I can think about is this stupid movie at the Walmart on DVD, and I'm like, I gotta get out of this game.
Big sports fan, are you?
Exactly. So I think I finished the game, but I made a beeline to Walmart and picked up this movie on DVD.
Now I'm gonna go back a second because you said they made a bunch of these movies, but then it sounded like you mentioned something that wasn't The Adventures of Robin Hood. So the same people who made this made a bunch of movies, or they made a bunch of Adventures of Robin Hood?
Errol Flynn. This is Warner Brothers. This was one of their biggest budget movies when it came out. And Errol Flynn was under contract, and they just made a different movie with Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland, who's the other star, Maid Marian. And they just good chemistry and whatever, and so they decided to keep making movies with them together.
Okay.
And so so she was the love interest in this movie. She was in the love interest in Captain Blood. She was the love interest. That was the other movie I mentioned.
But there is
in
only the
about 5
one
or
Adventures
6.
of Robin Hood.
There's only one Adventures
Okay.
of Robin Hood. There's I mean, as you know, there's
Well,
like
sure. There's a bunch of
million
them.
Robin Hood movies.
Was this one in
This was
Technicolor?
in Technicolor.
Okay, so I think I can
Yeah.
picture scenes of this,
Yes.
but I don't know that I've ever seen it all the way through. But I feel like it was playing in our house, and I can like
Yeah.
in my brain I can picture them like in the rafters or something. I'm probably mixing that with church a little bit, but like I can picture
Yeah,
them like
there's wood framing, heavy wood framing
Yeah.
in the castles in some of the scenes.
literally all I got.
Okay, that makes me sad in my heart.
You did mention there's not going to be a lot of crossover on this list.
Yeah,
I didn't
there's
realize you were
that.
going to go 50
Yeah.
years before you were born just to avoid my list.
I'm that big a dick. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you want to let me do this?
I think George Lucas and or others have cited the swashbuckling sword fighting in this movie specifically as a inspiration for Star Wars.
Okay.
The soundtrack for this movie was a classical soundtrack that won an Academy Award. Corn Gold or Corn Gold, I think is the name. Putting a classical score to an action movie was like a big deal at the time. And John Williams cites him as a inspiration. Wow. And of course, you know where all that goes.
Well, yeah.
So I was going to tongue-in-cheek say this is my favorite Star Wars movie. Which is a stretch, but that's a little bit how my whole list kind of fell out. It's like, I really want a John Hughes. Oh, there's no bloody John Hughes movie.
This is, for those who don't remember, the same guy who put Auschwitz in his top 5 romantic comedy movies. So
technically, it was in Italy.
Oh, well then, you're absolutely right. My bad. This is entirely your list. I can't mock it too much. I mean, I'm going to because you're Jonathan.
It was personal,
but I can't really make fun of you for that because anything you want to put on this list is fair game.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you're sharing memories with our grandfather as being a citing reason for why this is on your list, though. So that's intensely personal. You said you've shared this movie with your kids. How often would you say you watch this?
I really enjoy this movie, and this is one of the other things you said about your list is like these are movies you can put on at any point and you're ready to watch. And this is a movie I'll watch right now. And if you haven't seen it, I should.
Do you have? You said you have it on DVD.
I have it in. You should come with me.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Is at some point I need to. I'm super overdue to go to your house.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go a couple of years ago, and then COVID, so kind of out of my control. But
turns out COVID ruined things. Yeah.
Well, also it was 6 years ago, so I could probably have found time in between then and now. But whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's excellent. The kids, they've maybe all seen it 3 times, something like that.
It hits with their generation as well. They enjoy it.
No,
okay,
not all.
fair enough.
Arch and whine about watching movies.
This is absolutely not my favorite Star Wars, Dad. What are you doing to me? Where are the lightsabers?
Where are the lightsabers? That's pretty much their appreciation for anything before 2012.
That are probably watching.
Exactly. They probably wouldn't watch A New Hope with me. They'd be like, "Come on,
we can curse you out and you can't say nothing, kids." And I can just edit this part out so grandma doesn't have to watch this. Okay, we went really down the rabbit hole on that one. Can you bring it back up, or you want to just move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's roll.
To the next one?
Yeah, I think that's
pretty good.
So I will just say, I thought I was the only person who knew about this movie. Which
you got at least one person in chat who's very much on your side.
Thank you.
Saying that
Chad Never's on my side.
He's one of the best swashbucklers in Hollywood. Did his own stunts and was always so natural. That's Errol Flynn.
Yeah, they.
So I think Windstorm's showing his age as well.
DVDs exist for a reason. There's no excuse. You knew it was Technicolor. That was pretty impressive.
That's literally all I got. It was either Technicolor or they like added color after the fact because it was 37 you said?
Yeah, but it looks good when you see it. It looks good. You can tell it was color at the time, but that's it was a big deal for them to put out in Technicolor. Yeah.
Very cool.
Anyway,
2001 Toyota Corolla bus in late stream. Let's go. And Windstorm's chatting with us. Just
I don't know what that
again,
means.
I
Sorry. Gotcha.
cool. Absolutely, DVD is a godsend for people who love really old movies. Absolutely, and like
You are a physical media guy.
I'm a physical media guy.
media guy.
Yeah. Like I've got my Netflix and stuff
Our
like that, but if I
basements
can,
look similar.
I like to have it
Yeah.
on physical media because sometimes they just disappear, and you're like, I don't
You
know
don't
to watch
trust
that.
anybody.
I don't trust anybody.
Life is hard.
They've proven very much
That'll
that you
come up
never
on the
own
list.
anything unless you like
Exactly.
physically. I don't know why I did a choking motion for
'Cause you
physically
wanna
owning
choke
something.
I'm gonna have to buy the White Album again.
What's up, Alan Walker Music? Welcome to the show. All right, so that's I'm gonna assume the oldest movie on your list chronologically. That was one
That is
from your
the
childhood.
oldest movie on the list, and I started with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah. We're gonna go back to.
You know why that is?
100% on Rotten Tomatoes
Because
No one's
nobody in the
seen it.
new generation has watched it.
There were 3 movie critics.
It's
in those
100%
days,
with 4 critics,
and they all work for
and one of them
Warner Brothers.
is you.
Gold star. You're gonna get some hate on the chat for that. It's a good movie.
It's fun. All right.
Yeah.
What is the next movie on your
Next
list?
movie on your list. Oh, this is gonna get sad. So the next movie on my list, we're only jumping forward about a generation.
The 40s?
Yeah,
Okay. This will be a
50s.
long night.
50 something, 57. So this is actually a movie I kind of hated as a kid. I saw it lots of times, but
I
I
have a
just didn't like the brutality of
Nope,
the
guess it's gone.
sadness of this movie. And this is Disney's Old Yeller.
Oh,
Yeah.
not where I thought you were going
Not
with
where you
this one.
thought I was going with this one, but I said we were going biographical.
This makes sense for you in some way. I
It
would not
really
have predicted
does.
this, and I honestly forgot this one existed.
We've talked about this before.
I'm sure that we have.
off camera.
But it's
Yeah.
it like as soon as you say it, my brain goes like, yeah, of the 3 kids, you're the one that would resonate with this movie.
Yeah.
Mabeth is a little bit like Phoebe, where she probably stops the movie about halfway through, and be like, a happy ending, yay!
Right. The raccoon got away safely. He got some corn. The dog is happy. He got to chase something. And the kid's going to go to bed now. That was 17 minutes into the movie, John.
Yeah. 17 great minutes.
That's right. So happy.
All right, sorry. So what is it about this
So,
movie that sticks out for you?
so as a kid, I could not get past how sad the ending is. You have to put your spoilers thing up for this. It is 70 years old.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, like, I would bet more people know the ending to Old Yeller than the
actual
story to
scene of
Old
the
Yeller.
movie. Yeah. I was like, why do I want to watch a movie that makes me feel sad? I mean, this is, 8-year-old John, right?
Sure.
And I have gone back to this one several times as an adult. I've watched it with my kids. I had to, because my kids knew the ending was sad, because it's out there.
Yeah.
I had to choose it on my birthday when I was like 42. I'm like, no, it's my birthday. We're watching Old Yeller. Because they have to watch my movie.
No
on my
wonder your
birthday.
kids didn't come with you on
Oh,
this
yeah,
trip. They're
they
just
hate
getting
my
away from
guts.
you as fast as possible.
Right.
Nothing says happy, joyous, celebrate me day. Like, let's watch somebody shoot their
Exactly.
dog.
I wanted them to watch it.
All I'm saying is don't get attached to Maya, little guys. Is
Exactly.
that the right name?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was impressive.
And the list is off the rails.
Yeah. Well, away we go.
All right. So
Back
you
to
had to,
John shooting puppies.
you didn't like it as a kid because
This
it
is
made
like
you
my
too
romantic
sad.
comedy
Your
list
kids
all
don't
over
like
again.
it because
Okay,
it's so
okay,
sad.
let me
Why
reel
did
it
this
in.
one resonate with you?
Okay. So, first of all, as I watch it now as an adult, I think there's some really decent messages in there. Maybe not perfect, but considering it's 70 years old, fair.
Okay, sorry.
There is some.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
interrupt
Yeah,
you
you
one
can
quick
jump in.
second? I don't know this movie
Oh my.
other than the ending. Can you I'm assuming there's going to be people in the chat who know the
Yeah,
ending and
so
nothing else. Can you give like a
Big
10-second
idea,
description?
very quick. The big idea is basically this 14-year-old boy lives alone on the frontier with his family. So not alone, whatever. Depends on your definition. There's not a lot of dances happening.
Lives alone with everybody he knows in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. Isolated. They live fairly isolated on the frontier, the American frontier. They're in, I think, Texas, but that could be a little sketchy. I think it's set in Texas and filmed in California. Anyway,
10-second.
That was the 10-second.
Yeah.
His dad has to go away to take cattle to market.
Okay.
And he's going to be gone for weeks. And he's leaving his 14-year-old son in charge with some responsibility. He's with his mother and his 4-year-old-ish, 5-year-old brother.
He's the man of the house.
He's the man of the house. He's got a gun, no horse, and no dog. And so the little brother kind of adopts this stray dog that's stealing food from them and other people. And the older brother is dead set against this. And slowly this dog becomes more and more useful. And then the dog protects the family on a number of occasions. And in one of those occasions, he gets rabies, essentially. They have to pen the dog up to see if he's going to get sick with the rabies. And as he does get sick, it comes down to the 14-year-old boy has to put the dog down frontier style.
That I knew.
Yeah, that you knew. And the mom offers to do it for him, knowing he's grown attached to the dog. And the boy says, no, I'm going to do this. I got to do this, kind of.
Personal responsibility.
And then, like, the next morning, pretty much, the dad shows up.
I thought you were going to say they found a cure for rabies.
Exactly, yeah. Should just give him a shot. Why didn't you give him a shot, kid? Oh, I
It's
gave him
right
a
here
shot.
above
I
the
gave him a
fridge.
shot, yeah.
You don't know where we keep the rabies medicine? What's wrong with you? Last time I leave you in charge.
It's always above the fridge. So it's a really sad ending then.
Yeah. Okay.
So his dad talks to him a little bit about, you know, life is hard, but you have to find a way to go on, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets a puppy and yeah, whatever. It's not exactly a happy ending.
No, that's fair. You describing this does make a bit more sense though. Like that feels kind of like our dynamic to some extent, where
more and more,
like, oh, I found a puppy, yay! And then all of a sudden you're stuck with all the responsibility of, you know, dealing with it.
Exactly.
While I just go like, another puppy,
Puppies are cute. Yeah. So
okay, maybe that says more about us than we really wanted to.
Right. So for me personally, this is where it all comes around. I'd seen this movie a number of times, despite hating the ending, or just
was it just one of those like back in the day you didn't have access to other things, so
probably
you watched, you had to.
We did own it, or a VHS copy of it anyway, which is what owning looked like in those days
for us.
For us. I actually went on a trip with my grandparents when I think I was actually 13, but right around this kid's age. Went on a trip with my grandparents, came back from that trip. The day I came back from the trip, that day, our family dog had gotten into some probably rat poison or something.
I remember this.
And so I'd had this dog since I was about 5. My sister will say it's her dog. It was our family's dog. It was kind of a perfect dog. We've had a lot of dogs.
I'm sure nostalgia isn't tinting those glasses at all.
No, you can ask anyone.
Yeah.
You get people in the chat right there. Your sister's gonna.
You want random people in the chat telling you that this was the perfect dog?
I'm just saying, if Honda such and such starts yelling, that will be significant.
Toyota Corolla just starts yelling at you. Yeah.
All caps, devil faces.
I have to edit so much of this video out already. We're on the second film. It was my, there it is.
There it is. I knew it was coming. Coming for you. It was her dog. Is that what it was? Yeah. I don't want to know. So anyway, I went with my dad to take this dog to the vet.
Yeah.
We'd had this dog for like 12 years. And when we got to the vet's like, oh, we have to put this dog down. And they asked me, do you want to be in the room while we put the dog down?
Yeah.
Or you can sit out here in the waiting room, right? And I was like, what would Travis do?
Don't worry, guys. Like, I brought my own gun.
Don't worry, Bob. I'll do it.
Ready for this?
So I actually chose to be in the room,
Yeah.
and I was like
You have
petting the
to.
dog, and I was like, no, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to, right? And so, yeah, it's a very personal movie. It was a very personal developmental moment.
For sure.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
that was why I made the list. So now that I've done a few, this is where I was going with the list is much more kind of biographical.
Yeah.
There are some silly ones on the list, don't worry. But we're at the
We've
end of
been making fun of this
100%
one. I don't know if we
Rotten
can get
Tomatoes.
sillier.
Yeah.
What happens
I
when
don't
a
know what the
comedy
next one
shows
is,
up?
though. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Oh no! Oh no!
Okay, we're good now. We're going right off
You
the
laughed
rails.
all the way through the shooting your dog in the face movie. What are you gonna do when we talk about airplane?
Fairness. Yeah, our sister's not watching anymore.
I bet she is.
She's taking notes. She's taking names.
She is hate watching, but she is watching.
Right. There's crap all over her screen. Oh,
Oh man. All right, so before we move on, I just want to say Windstorm had a fantastic comment here. We're not using Restream, so I can't put it on the screen like I
Okay,
normally can.
sure.
Movies are a reflection of your personality. It's why I love these videos. That's amazing. Like that's such a great little.
that's a good quote.
It's a good quote, but it's also very complimentary, which I really appreciate
Yeah,
because the audience isn't large, but the people who show up tend to show up every time. So that's pretty
This
awesome.
is a community.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to build,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So thank you very much for that. Also, I know Alan Walker Music. I don't know if you're still there. Happy 4th of July to you as well. We do try and stay away from the chat when we're discussing the movies. We'll talk about the chat, and then we'll go back to talking about the movies. So if you're still around, happy 4th to you. Hopefully we didn't turn you off by not addressing you, but so be it. I don't think I've ever outed somebody.
I got lost in the chat. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just, yeah. All right. Moving on to 10, I guess. Not that we're numbering this. Moving on to your early adolescence.
How about the
I
next
don't know how this
movie?
is going. Are we into the
Okay,
60s
so
now?
we're gonna get sillier already. Okay, so taking it down a serious notch. The next movie on my list was The Karate Kid,
Okay.
and this is just me being the right age at the exact right time. This movie came out.
You just wanted to be Daniel LaRusso.
Oh, I was Daniel LaRusso.
Now, for the
part at
record-
the beginning where he was getting his ass kicked all the time,
Was
I was
you.
Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Now-
wasn't even Daniel LaRusso yet.
For the
That's-
record, I'm just going to point out Daniel LaRusso, Johnny Lawrence, and
I was just
one of us
the many
wins those
reasons this
movies.
movie
I'm just
resonates.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah. In those days, I was Johnny LaRusso, the bully at home.
And Daniel
That's right.
at school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
This one's what, 84?
It came out in 84. I probably wasn't watching it then, but I'd certainly seen it by, probably not long after it came out. I was familiar with this movie in like grade 2, grade 3, probably. I took judo because of this movie.
I didn't know you did that.
when I was like 8 years old.
You know it's Karate Kid.
I know.
You know that
I
now.
could read. So there was no karate
Okay.
in the community where I was growing up, but there was a judo class. My parents knew the judo instructors, and so they felt pretty comfortable with me joining as a young, impressionable. I think I was 7 or 8. I was really young.
Was this at the high school?
I was at the high school.
I have a weird memory of that and
upstairs
no idea
mezzanine.
why. So this is really connecting
Now it's
dots that I
making
didn't
sense.
know. Yeah.
So I took 1 year. One of the instructors had been like to Japan and was like super hardcore on. It might not be Japan. They'll
Wherever he
correct
went.
me. They'll find somebody. Google it.
They're going to Google where your high school
where
director
judo's
went.
from.
Oh, okay. Well, that is
Yeah.
Japan. Yes. Okay.
So anyway, you had to know the names for all the moves
In Japanese.
English and not English, Japanese.
Okay.
And I could not memorize the Japanese names, being the brain that I've lived with my whole life.
Yeah.
Just can't do it. And so I got like 1 belt in 1 year.
Sure. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Tylers are known for their dedication.
That's right. I knew all the moves, and I knew all the moves for the next level, and I could not memorize all the names, and I gave up on it. Basically, I didn't learn enough Japanese to
Gave up on your
proceed.
dream.
Basically, yes. Yeah. And the sad thing is, I wasn't even getting bullied yet. I was barely been bullied at all until much later. So it was like a premonition of how much bullying I was going to get. Yeah.
You could have saved yourself a lot by just
I
learning
had
some
been
Japanese.
verbally abused on the bus. I guess that counts. Yeah.
That's.
They used to call me Mrs., my sister's name. Isn't that rude?
Do you think the hair might have done it?
It was shorter. Not much shorter. Not much shorter. Yeah.
So, I mean, we can cut this out. I actually took judo as an adult because a coworker.
You
of
took
mine-
judo as an adult?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
not for very long. Again,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
known for our dedication.
Right.
A coworker of mine. I work in a maximum security jail, so not
Wow,
the worst thing to
accurate.
have. A little bit of.
Why don't
martial
I
arts.
learn a little judo?
Right.
Yeah.
It's very camera friendly. Let's just say that. Friend of mine is actually a black belt, has his own dojo.
Okay.
And so I know more about it than I know about it, if that makes sense. Because we talk
Right.
about it a lot, but I didn't
Okay.
stick with it for
So
all
it's
that
Japan.
long. It is Japan. You
Got
do
it.
have to know Japanese, and like same thing with them.
the
Like
Japanese.
for actually doing the tests
Not the
specifically.
people
like-
learning the language. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll edit that out.
Probably a good idea.
It's the 4th of July. We're all no, that's wrong war. Never mind. Anyways, so he was telling me that like you need to know. Like for the like on a Sunday when you get together, who cares? But like for test day, you need to be able to do what we tell you to do when we do like when
Right.
we ask you to do
We tell
whatever.
you to do it in
need to do it,
Japanese.
and you need to know what it is. And it's like, all right, fair enough. But it's also like here's the 10 things you need to know. So it wasn't like you didn't have to learn the language. You just had to recognize these sounds.
You learn 10 words in Japanese and then we'll talk.
Fair. All right. So do you remember when you first watched this movie? Because this is you'd be fairly young.
I
when this
would
came
have
out.
been young. I mean, I took judo because I'd watched the movie. I took judo when I was like in grade 2, maybe 3. And so someone in the chat who is mad about the dog is also probably correcting my timeline.
He does have a scary good memory.
She makes shit up all the time. I know you do.
No, not touching that one with a pole.
Oh, I remember this.
Just move on.
So anyway, yeah, I would have been young and I loved it the first time I saw it and every time since. I will watch this movie anytime. And this is one my kids actually really loved and enjoyed. I did watch all of the movies as they came out. And you know, it was like, okay, oh, it's kind of fun to have another Karate Kid movie. I really enjoyed going back to Cobra Kai, when Cobra Kai brought us all back to Karate Kid.
Agreed.
And going back to the original movie. I don't think I ever saw the Jaden Smith
You're fine.
version, but nobody else did either, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Cobra Kai, we had a lot of fun. I watched all of Cobra Kai with my kids, my older kids. My kids are adults, if it makes you feel better.
It does actually. I tried. I watched it and I enjoyed it.
This with my kids, yeah.
I watched it and I enjoyed it. And be like, this would be a good one with the kids because it's all like teenagers and stuff like that. We got like
Exactly.
halfway through the first episode and they're talking about all kinds
Johnny's
of weirdness.
drunk driving and F-bombing everybody.
Not even that. It was the kids talking about stuff they were going to do in school. And Amy, my wife, just looks at me like, "Are you sure this is appropriate?" I'm like, not even a little bit. Let's watch something else. Bail, parachute, get me out of this situation. It was rougher than I remember watching it by myself. I don't have the same filter when I'm watching things by myself as
It's
I
a
do
totally
when
different-
my dad or kids are
You
in the
see
room.
it differently.
Oh, for
yes.
sure.
Yeah, watching with your kids is like your dad coming down the basement stairs.
But, like,
yeah, it's
all
like,
the
"Oh,
time."
this is interesting. I don't remember that.
Okay, so going back to the original,
I love the original. Yeah.
is it one that you watched with your kids? You shared it with them?
So
Did they enjoy
they
it?
got all into Cobra Kai. I think they'd maybe seen it once, and then they went back and we watched like all 7 of them except the Jaden Smith one.
Sure.
And then all of the Cobra Kais we've seen 4. There's 4.
I was gonna say like 7.
There's 3.
There's
and then
3 with
one
him, and then there's one with
is it? And it's
the famous woman, but I'm blanking on her name.
Hillary
Swank. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
it's,
I think that's the one I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen
Yeah.
the Hillary Swank one.
yeah. The first is the best.
Yeah.
But it's all enjoyable. I love the songs. Yeah. I think
I quote that song more so than anything
Oh,
else.
yeah.
Just like randomly,
Excellent.
like
Yeah.
you're the best. All
Well, that song
right.
comes into my head just
Right?
out of the blue all the time. I think probably because of my healthy self-esteem. Yeah.
I'm usually singing it to other people, but I love to know that about you. That does check out pretty hard. I'm singing it to Amy. You're
best.
singing it to yourself.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Change all the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. First
I'm the
person.
best around. No one's ever gonna keep me down.
I actually do this move a lot on my kids. That's healing. Yeah. Yeah. It works as long as it works. Yeah. That's all I know about medicine, pretty much. Movies.
I got a bee sting.
That's right. Exactly. It's burning. You wanted this. You asked for it.
I really did.
You had to know this was coming. All
Oh.
right. Let's get the chat back on our side.
Well, good luck. Half of the chat is Toyota Corolla, and they're just fuming. Have we addressed the weird power move of Dan taking the high chair? It doesn't help that my body is
did,
naturally
actually.
taller than Jonathan's as well, so I'm already taller, and I took the high chair just to
I'm
really
all
rub salt in the
legs
wound.
and no body. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like
Yeah.
your legs are taking up a good chunk of the desk here.
I'm all leg and no body. My hip comes up to like Dan's, whatever.
Yeah. Jesse's in the chat saying he knows this guy named Jesse who'd be great on this show. I'd love to have you on the show, bud, but I'm like, my house is going
I
to
keep
kill you like
hearing
8
this.
different ways. Jesse's a great guy, coworker of mine, allergic to literally everything. And like, I got cats, I got guinea pigs, I got dust. Like,
Yes.
there's no way
My
this will
wife
work.
could not survive the
Oh,
stairs.
we didn't invite her over.
She wants to see the kitchen and she doesn't want to see the stairs. Yeah.
That's fair.
She would die. Yeah.
Could she survive long enough to get into the kitchen?
She could get
Because
the
she's welcome to
kitchen
come
in and
over.
out. Yeah.
I just know that she probably wouldn't enjoy coming in, like playing a game or a movie or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've only come over fairly late, so
That's also true.
yeah.
But I mean,
we'll fix that anyway.
anyways,
And edit it. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
cut all that right out.
Well, you have a dedicated fan base, Dan.
Yes, it's available virtually too. There's a lot of people who lurk, so they probably just like
I'm not watching this anymore.
came
I'll
here
come back.
and left or like muted or
Is he
something
on
like.
number 3 yet?
I'm gonna show support, but I'm not putting myself through this.
That's right. Just play and go to bed.
Yeah, and we appreciate all of you.
That's right. Still counts as a view.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
What do you got next?
The next one is we're going to leap forward in my timeline.
Sorry, you were 84. You were like 9 in the last one.
I was grade 2, grade 3, something like that. We're jumping all the way into high school.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so the next movie that I thought was significant for this list, Dead Poet Society.
Oh.
And just is a great cast. I don't think I'll get any negative feedback on that. Robin Williams, one of his first dramatic roles.
One of his best for sure.
One of his best, most enjoyable.
Sorry, best up to that point.
Yeah, I took I used that movie with my English professor's permission and did my year-end project on all of the references in the movie and had to track down all the quotes, find all the source poetry, read all the literature that they talk about, all the poetry and dead poets, and source it all, which not all of it is sourced. So
I was going to say, is it all even real?
I watched that movie 1,000 times, getting that straight. I'm taking notes, pause, rewind, and wrote. I think it was like a 20+ page paper, just about everything they'd used and how they used it in the movie, and how they used it appropriately. So I saw this movie literally a lot, several times a week, probably through that process. And it's never gotten old. Watching it again now as an adult, you're like, okay, that's for the kids or this or that. But it's enjoyable. It's solid. Many of the friends I made up as adult friends later in life, this was one of the things we already had in common, that we enjoyed this movie, enjoyed, of course, Robin Williams in this movie. I enjoy the whole cast. I really like Ethan Hawke as an actor, and really like his character in the movie. I probably maybe identify most with that character and his barbaric yelp. And so we actually almost rewatched that one this week.
I was going to say,
so many movies we don't get to watch together.
I know.
And this is one we have seen together, so I don't know if it'll ever happen.
So I know that I've seen this movie. It's been a very, very long time. I told you this the other day.
Not only is there no overlap, you've never seen any of my movies.
I've seen Karate Kid. I've seen this movie. I know for a fact that I have.
Yeah.
I don't remember talking about it because it's been a very, very long time, but I just recently picked this one up on Blu-ray because like it was like $5 and I was like, absolutely.
Yep. Good choice.
I'm really looking forward to watching this one more recently and just kind of refreshing it in my brain. But I know this is one that like is well loved in our family and for basically all the reasons that you're saying.
Yeah. So the English project, that was a very personal thing. It was kind of a cool experience to have a teacher that would support that.
Sure.
And then I also this was the first movie I edited. And so there's a scene near the ending where one of the villainy kind of people gets just punched in the face.
Okay.
And
there was a comment about that in chat, and I was like,
it was already
get there.
was it?
Yeah.
I can't see the chat because I'm almost legally blind.
Yeah.
So
the glaring glasses do nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I took that scene and I spliced it together, such as I could with 2 VCRs in those days.
Sure.
Spliced it together so that he punched him in the face multiple times, because I found it so satisfying. I thought 3 is better than 1, and so prove me wrong.
1's good, 3 must be better.
Exactly. I've never regretted that decision, and that is the John directed cut. That I
is it the entire movie, 3 punches, and
yes, exactly.
Director's cut?
Perfect.
Nice. This one was also 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Exactly.
No one's seen it but you.
The John Tyler cut.
Yeah. This movie says it's only got 0.8 seconds of extra scenery. Yes, but it's worth every 0.8 seconds of it.
So satisfying. Let Keating fry my ass.
Oh.
You just signed your expulsion papers.
All right.
No wonder.
So we've managed to
done with
laugh
that.
ourselves through Old Yeller and a movie about suicide.
The
We're
only
doing well.
upside is no one is watching. Except our angry sister. She's so angry. Oh,
The uppercut, if you will. I like that.
I like it too.
Is Dead Poet Society the one where Robin Williams is a doctor dressed as a clown? Oh, frick off, Jesse. Or
This is Jesse
this is
trolling.
This is Trolley Jesse.
This is because he wants to be on. You should just let him be on.
I should let him be on. He's also talking about how
What am I
he
supposed-
wants you to do a poem about Malice. Is one of the things he was talking about.
Oh, he's trolling hard now.
Oh, it's all he does. Which is like the funny thing is he actually knows, like he really knows his stuff about movies. And yet I talk about movies and he just comes on and is like, Malice? Malice! And I'm like, dude, you can killing me here.
So Malice was the last movie I watched with Dan in Dan's basement on his blankety 4K 1000 screen something TV. And the next one was Whiplash. And the first half of Whiplash, I'm like, why the F does it look like The Littlest Hobo? And it's the ultra high def.
It
fricks
takes a
with
second
my
to get
brain.
used to, but once you're used to it, it looks so good.
I will say, Whiplash
The last
got
half
me
of
out
it?
of noticing it. Yeah,
That's
I was
good.
so into the movie, I wasn't noticing it anymore. That didn't happen with Malice. Sorry, Jesse.
Not much happened with Malice, let's be honest. Anyways,
I think it's called the soap opera effect. You probably knew that already.
There was
why
a-
I'm having a
yeah.
trouble.
Well,
Yeah,
you never know. Every episode is somebody's first.
that's right. Yeah. No, you already.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
did,
called
but-
that. Yeah. I didn't know the name for it, but I associated it with this crappy like PBS level TV shows that look like too realistic.
Yeah. I remember having that effect when my buddy first got one of these TVs, watching it
Yeah.
and just being like, this is weird.
I saw.
But it's crazy how quickly you do get used to it. And then like the biggest thing
and then
with
you
the
hate
TV.
real TVs.
Well, this is gonna get edited out. So I gave my old TV to mom and dad.
Uh-huh.
So it's the one in their basement.
Right.
And it is the exact same size as the TV I have now,
Mm-hmm.
which most people are like, why did you buy the same size TV? It's because I
Right.
didn't buy the same quality TV.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that you really pick up on with this TV. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna get super nerdy here, but like the difference in quality between light scenes and dark scenes and like nighttime skitty-scapes of a LED OLED
Right.
TV versus like
Yeah.
a rear projected.
Right.
Because for the rear projection, like they have to light up the entire screen at once to show
Mm-hmm.
anything. So you get a lot of pixelization, you get a lot of really grainy looking stuff, and I know
All your
that
dark stuff
shouldn't
looks
bother
gray
me,
instead
but
of
it just
black.
really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And like we were watching some things like Harry Potter, and it was like I have to leave the room. Like I can't do
Right.
this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad love the TV though, so like great. Like it's a good gift for them. It's a nice size for their room.
Yeah.
But like the person who helped me install it is like, this is the same size. What are we doing here? Like, why didn't you upgrade the TV? It's like, oh, I did. I
upgraded
really
the
did.
TV. Yeah. I saw one of these TVs in a store, and they were putting Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings on the TV as a demo. Maybe it was The Hobbit because it was later. And it looked like the old like BBC Narnia where the lion is a puppet. With a guy with a stick.
You can just
inside.
almost see the strings
It's
being pulled.
Too real, and I was like, "This is ruining the movie."
It's so real, it actually looks less real.
Yeah, exactly. They're walking along the mountain. I'm like, those look like a bunch of kids dressed up. You know, it's like brutal. And I was like, I can never afford a new TV anyway.
You're just talking yourself into it.
Yeah, exactly. Now I can't.
See, now I'm good with my tube TV.
Exactly.
Well done.
It's got a little hand crank, but once you get used to it,
Head,
right.
change the channel.
I need the exercise.
It's good for me. Oh man.
More than the tubes.
Mention Little's Hobo probably means you're at an age when you may start having back pain, enjoying black coffee, and loving complaining about
If I
traffic.
haven't shown my age by this point in the list, you have too much faith in physical.
Movie number 1 was from 1937. I'm just throwing that out there. All right.
Very good.
What do you got next?
I don't know.
All
okay,
right.
yeah. So, we really enjoy movies.
What?
This is what we're doing here. You and I?
Is this a thing?
We've enjoyed movies for a long time.
Weird.
We've known we enjoyed movies for a long time. And I've known there's this like gold mine of movies I've never seen that have existed forever. You asked my list was going to, this is as pretentious, I think, as my list is going to get. It's not intentional.
Jonathan went through a classical movie phase in high
I did
school.
go through a classical movie.
Is this where we're
phase in
hitting
high
now?
school. So the reason this is on my list is because it's representative of the classical movie phase in high school. I went back to old Hitchcock, and I went back to a bunch of movies from the kind of the 30s to 60s, I guess. And so this kind of represents this time. It is also my favorite. We've fought about this before. We'll fight about it again. But this is Alfred Hitchcock's Rope.
Ooh, okay.
And
we're not fighting about this one.
Awesome. Good.
I've seen one of your movies.
Yay! And it's 70 years old. Hey, look at you go.
Got there.
So I really enjoy Rope. It has that theatrical feel. It comes from a stage play originally. It was it's kind of famous nowadays for being kind of all shot in one take, although it's 8-minute clips because that's what the film
The film would allow.
But this is when I was kind of getting movie nerdy. And also as a part of this phase, I think I got for Christmas, probably from our parents, they used to do, before the internet was a thing, they used to do these annual books of videos. Do you remember this book?
No, I'm just laughing how old you are.
Lord. It's 5 years, my friend.
It was a big 5 years. In the days before the internet, kids, we used to have books. I'm sorry, I totally tuned you out. You're gonna have to start that story again.
So there was these books that came out annually from the late 80s into the early 2000s, which is getting redundant because the web was out there.
Okay.
And they would annually publish. It was like a TV guide synopsis of everything on video. It was purporting to be everything out on video. 17,000.
I'm blanking on the name of the author who does
I
that.
wanted
But
to
I know what you're
bring
talking
my
about.
book with me, and I left it in Manitoba. So I was looking up the covers to see that it said all these things that it says. Anyway, I got one of these books, and it has like a little 3 to 5 star, or 0, I guess, to 5-star review, and then a little like 3-sentence write up, and then kind of the director and the stars.
Leonard Martin, thank you.
Oh,
that was driving me insane because I was just like,
down.
Well, that doesn't help me.
This is actually not mine. Was not Leonard Martin. It's
not quite Leonard Martin. That sounds just a little bit off, but it's Leonard
it's
something.
Not right, and both of those names might be wrong. Where did I write it down? I had to Google it, look it up, and then write it down.
Gen X versus Millennial, go.
That is exactly where we
Maltin.
live.
There it is. Leonard Maltin. Thank you. That sounds better.
Not Leonard
That's the one
Maltin.
I'm thinking of.
Yes, he did have one, and you're right.
Yeah.
And when I was Googling this, trying to get where is it?
Get it closer to your
I
face.
thought zip it. You don't know. Littlest hobo, back pain, and blind as a bat. Okay, it's a thing. I wrote it down so I could tell you because I knew that. Oh, there it is.
Leonard Maltin.
Martin and Marsha Porter. Nick
Okay.
Martin and Marsha Porter. And so
I don't even care if there's not an audience. It's just fun for me at this point.
Good. That's what I was.
I do
aiming
care
for.
if there's an audience. Don't go anywhere. Like and subscribe.
And so I
one's
started
gonna-
just reading through this thing like nonstop. I'm highlighting and I still haven't seen some of the movies that I highlighted 25, 30 years ago in this book. But
In fairness, the book's
It
like
was a fun
500
journey.
pages.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, over that. Yeah, it's probably 1,500 pages. It's
Sure.
like newsprint.
You could
this
kill somebody
thick.
with this.
Yeah, yeah. If it was a bit
And then hide
bigger,
them
yeah,
in the box while people are having dinner.
exactly.
Let's bring it back.
Back to Rope. So Rope is kind of emblematic. I do love it. It's one of my favorites. It's one I watched alone because who do you watch Rope with the first time? And so it's just it kind of captures that whole period for me. And I mean, every other list we do, I feel like, is me talking about movies from high school and college. So this was a good representative of that kind of the movie aspect of that era. I watched Psycho for the first time in there. I watched Pulp Fiction for the first time in there. There's lots of other movies, but this one kind of captured that piece for me.
Now, I do need to touch on this one because I do have questions. I love Rope. I'm not questioning your choice of Rope.
Okay.
Are you picking this one because I picked Rear Window, so you didn't want to pick that one? Are you picking this one because
that's the fight
Psycho
we have
feels
had before.
so like you don't want to be not hypocritical?
I
What's that?
genuinely
Predictable?
feel,
Or do you actually think Rope is
I-
like your favorite one of the Hitchcock movies that like encapsulates that?
Yeah, that was the fight I was remembering that we had. Rope is genuinely my favorite Hitchcock movie.
I don't think I'm fighting you on this. Like I feel like no,
Yours is
legitimately.
Rear Window, is all I'm saying.
Rear Window is
Yeah.
mine. That's the one that I would
That
go
was
back
the
to.
discussion.
But I
that
think I
we
would take
had.
Rope over Psycho, Birds, Vertigo, North
Yeah.
by Northwest. Like it's very high up on that list for me.
Yeah.
So like I'm not arguing
Yeah.
with your choice. I just wanted to clarify
I
if
don't
this
think
was
you
took this one because you didn't want to duplicate, or you took this one because it's
No,
your
no.
number one.
For me, it is legitimately a number one.
Okay.
I would say Rope, Psycho, Vertigo, all beat Rear Window for me.
Sorry, Rope, Psycho, Vertigo, Rear Window. Okay.
Maybe something like that. Then Birds, maybe. I really enjoyed that too, and I
I
watched
liked
that
Birds
back in
so much until the birds appeared.
You know,
Like the actual
yeah,
story
the
between the two of them, I
setup.
really liked. And then birds attacked. I'm like,
that. Yeah,
anyway, sorry.
there's one bird, but anyway, a little cage.
I thought you meant her.
Yeah.
I thought you were being.
Wow, sexist.
I'm just trying to.
Also,
your
are
list.
you 100 years old? Yeah. Just carrying a little bird cage for half the movie.
I forgot about that.
So I rewatched Birds recently, showed it to my kids. And one of my daughters really likes Hitchcock, thrillers, and that sort of thing. Rewatched it recently, and I'm like, is there a friggin' point to this movie?
Not really.
Did he just want to terrorize actresses? Was that the whole thing? There's no ending. They just like get in a station wagon, drive away.
They
I
just
think.
leave, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Why did birds
Why
start
did birds
attacking
attack?
people?
Do
Did
we
they ever
stop them?
stopped? Is that like an uninhabited island now? Just I was like, what the. So back
sometimes
to
you don't
Rope.
have an ending.
Yeah. Rope, I really appreciated the dialogue. I really liked the psychological aspect. I really liked the they have this kind of philosophical discussion with the professor or about stuff that had kind of happened in the prequel with the professor's teaching and stuff like that. I just appreciate so many aspects of
Yeah.
the writing, I guess, of this movie. And then there's some of these fun cinematic things, Hitchcock is always playing with.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is a great movie.
Yeah.
I think when we had our discussion, you'd seen Rear Window and you maybe hadn't seen Rope. And I was saying Rope was my favorite or the best Hitchcock.
I don't know that I
maybe.
watched Rope when
And I
you
think that
saw
was,
it the first
that was the
time.
back and forth.
I don't know that I saw Rope when you saw it the first time, but I definitely feel like I saw it while you were in high school or like
Oh,
on one of
okay.
your shows back. Like I saw Rope
I
saw Rope a
watching it
long time
lot.
before I saw Rear Window.
Fair enough. Okay.
No, I didn't watch it very much in between those two
Right.
watchings. I think for me personally, when I was making my list, I was realizing that I really like self-contained movies, narrated movies,
Yes.
and dialogue-heavy movies. Now, neither one of these movies have narration, but both Rear Window and Rope are very isolated movies.
Yeah.
They both take place in essentially one little
setting.
room,
Yeah.
and it's just the dialogue has to carry those movies, and it does so expertly that you are gripped, despite the fact that not a whole lot happens in either one of them, but you are in it the entire time.
There's next to no action in Rope.
Yeah.
The actions happened before, and I think there's a gun pulled at one point, but it's very low key. It's
Very
all
psychological
dialogue driven, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Great
I love
choice.
it. That's the one. There we go.
Jesse is saying, what about Notorious 46? I have no idea what that is. Notorious is the most perfectly balanced of fun, thrill,
Notorious
beauty,
is a
and
Hitchcock
focus.
movie that came out in 46, I think is.
Oh, okay. Are you aware of it?
Or Notorious 46 is an anime, which I'm not familiar with. That's possible too.
So we're not familiar with that one. We don't know if he's
Notorious?
trolling us or actually being
It's
serious.
a Hitchcock movie.
Okay.
I've seen in ancient days.
Sure.
Our grandparents actually my grandfather was also a big Hitchcock.
Really?
Yeah, I watched a
Okay.
bunch with him, and I've seen it back there. I've seen probably maybe almost a half dozen back then that I have not rewatched that I'd like to see. They're just harder to find.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so anyway, yeah, I would like to revisit that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on, what is the next one up on your movie journey?
Okay, this is
Assuming you're done with Rope.
yeah, that's fine.
You came to the end of your rope. Sorry. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Wow, I regret that. Now
No,
I want to find.
I
something
regret
else
that.
about
You were just
Rope.
here.
The next movie is an outlier in a few ways. It's a movie I've only seen once.
Okay.
Didn't
Curious.
see that coming, did you? It's a movie I've only seen once. I would watch it again, but out of these movies, it doesn't. I'm not anxious to sit down and watch it tonight if
Okay.
you want to watch it, and you don't, and you never have seen it. I'm guessing. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's possible you've seen it, but I bet you haven't. This is another rather ancient movie. I'm going to check this. It's 1962, and it's Lawrence of Arabia, and I'll tell you why it's on my list. Have you seen Lawrence of Arabia?
Lawrence of Arabia has been on my want list for the longest time.
Okay.
There is a theater in London that plays old movies. That's where
Yeah.
I first saw Citizen Kane.
Okay.
Jesse keeps trying to gear me out for like Quentin Tarantino nights and stuff like
Nice.
that. They're actually never mind.
Right now?
So no,
We can be back later.
but I've heard that you're supposed to watch Lawrence of Arabia on the biggest screen you can find.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to wait for it to actually come to that theater if I can. But I've been wanting to watch this movie for a while now. So you're right. I have not seen it, but it's
Okay.
on my like bucket list, I guess.
I told you before we started.
I also understand
there
why
was
you want to watch
one
this
movie
once and
you
you're
hadn't-
done.
well, it's a 4-hour commitment.
Yeah.
There's some trilogies you could watch in that time, but not very good ones. So, the thing about this movie for me, I saw this movie just as I was getting out of high school, going into college. And there was a few just really impactful scenes. This movie is fairly ahead of its time, I think, in a number of ways. And there's a few really kind of key turning points and is in the story of the movie. So it's based on a true story. There's a scene where the man in the movie he's the man's in the desert. That's not a spoiler.
Thanks.
He's basically befriended this group of people that are nomads living in the desert, nomadic people living in the desert, and he is made one of their tribe by them, essentially. And so he's kind of embraced and accepted. He's given traditional clothing to wear in their culture. And when he goes home, he's English, he goes home to England and he intentionally wears his traditional Arab garb into these government meetings he's going to, as a bit of a
F you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Don't worry, you can remain grandma's favorite. I'll say it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the sentence just wasn't going to end anywhere. I was like,
Right.
where am I going with that? It's,
It's a bit of Dan, help me out. Edit this. Edit. We can fix it in
like
post,
a
right?
penguin squeaking or something. No,
Schnur, schnur.
and it achieves that end.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Yeah. That was really intriguing to me. I think that whole idea of, travel, the idea of travel at the time was really big for me, and adventure, but also just connecting across cultures and across people groups and things like that. We have had family living in all sorts of different cultures around the world at different times. And so that really resonated with me. When I got to college, I studied some cultural anthropology. I took TESOL, which is teaching English to speakers of other languages.
Yeah.
The lingo around that has changed a few times before and after that, but that's I had tutored international students
Yep.
at my college. And so a lot of that for me, it kind of turned on that scene was really pivotal and just solidifying that. I don't think it was totally a new on my radar thing, like, oh, other cultures exist, but it was more like how powerful that was for him to be not only embraced but invited into that community. And so I just thought that was really cool. And so there was a number of ways that I felt like that movie kind of impacted me without probably ever being able to watch another 4 hours of it ever again.
Sorry, when did you watch this one?
I watched this in between high school and college.
Okay. So your sense of adventure was to move to Manitoba.
Yeah, I
and
knew
you
that was.
being
I saw that
embraced
smirk
when you
by
were
the
embraced by the
Mennonite
locals.
culture.
That was the
Yeah.
Mennonite culture
Yeah.
bringing you in. You're just like, I belong. This
I've
is my
only been embraced
lifelong
by one
adventure.
Mennonite, yeah. So
What an adventurous life you've
did
led.
believe at one point that I was going to do more traveling.
That's fair.
And a number of, like, in the area study that I was in, a number of the people that I was with have lived since college in other cultures.
Yeah.
But I ended up going on to do another degree and move my career in a different direction.
Sure.
So that didn't ever happen, even a little bit for me.
I mean, I make fun. You've been more adventurous than I ever have, right? Like, you've been to Africa.
It's still further than,
Yeah. I made it as far as Toronto. It counts.
Yeah. So that's a fair point.
I was just curious about the timing on this one. You're
yeah.
like, I had a life for adventure. I'm like,
Yeah. No, I said I was
a taste for
intrigued by
adventure.
the
Yeah.
idea of adventure. It also seemed really scary.
yeah, that's fair.
No, as far as personal, I identify more with like Nemo's dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
The drop off.
All right. Yeah, this is one that I've always wanted to see.
Yeah.
I've heard so many people be like, "Don't bother. It's kind of dull. It's dry." But like, it's just one of those. I'm so curious because the people who love it.
Yeah.
And the people who don't are just like.
And
eh.
I do love it, but it's a slog. And I mean, you're watching this guy literally dry out crossing the desert. And the movie feels like you were talking about being exhausted after Whiplash. I was exhausted and thirsty.
It's
after
4 hours
watching Lawrence of
long.
Arabia, yeah. And so I think I had my wisdom teeth out, and I was like eating vanilla pudding and watching this movie in the basement.
In my brain, I'm just going to say
Yeah.
you were high at the time too. Just it's possible.
There's some painkillers involved. Yeah. It's the best movie with pink elephants. On a scale from Dumbo to Lawrence of Arabia. So much
I
better
know
than Dumbo.
he's on a camel race or something at one point. Is he not?
I think he's on a camel for like 2 hours of
Sure.
the 4 hours.
I'm
of
just
the
picturing him on an
movie.
animated pink elephant going across the desert.
That's right. You don't have to picture it. You have to get your teeth out. Yeah. Anyway, I recommend it as a once watcher. It's still up there.
Yeah, it's one that's on my list, but
and it's one I
Like,
would
I
watch
had-
again just to watch it with my kids or just to watch it with somebody who hasn't seen it. But it's not one if
Yeah, you're not throwing
Friday
it on a
night at
Friday
midnight. I'm gonna be like, you know what I could watch right now
yeah, no, that's fair.
till tomorrow.
I had it in my hand on 4K at one point,
Hmm.
and I was like, my screen's big enough. I could watch this on 4K. And it was just like, you're looking at the price tag for it. I'm like, I can't imagine I'm going to watch this more than once.
That is a
Like,
factor. Yeah.
Is it like,
might as well pay
it's
that
going to be
to
in my
see it in the
collection.
theater.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I could pay a fraction of that to see it in the theater.
that too.
The same amount of times I'm going to watch it on 4K.
Yeah. I would love to see it in the theater. Yeah.
Oh.
Bring lots of Coke. Just line
The
them,
drink, right?
Line them up, right?
Right?
Yeah.
The
yeah,
beverage.
Yeah, the beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for the follow, Yoda. Sorry, we are trying to ignore chat a little bit while we have our conversation, but I do really appreciate that. You saw the lights go crazy back there. I'm glad that didn't distract you too much. Toyota has to head to bed, so we appreciate hanging out with us, but now his mom is taking over completely. May she have mercy on our souls. Jonathan, did you go to college with Harry Potter? I heard he likes adventure. He'd probably like to see Lawrence of Arabia.
I better be Jesse.
It absolutely is. Is that the
I
one
can't
where
even see the chat, and I do that one.
is Lawrence of Arabia where Jake Gyllenhaal plays a Persian guy from Heritage College? Sorry,
More or less.
from a Heritage line of royalty. Who wants to see the drunken elephant dream in Dumbo again? I mean, pretty much anytime I can. Lawrence of Arabia is an amazing movie. I take it you've seen Dr. Zhivago then?
No, I have never seen Dr. Zhivago.
Neither have I.
Yeah. I do like Russian novels.
Cool.
I don't know. Zhivago? Is that English?
I should be able to pick that up and run with it somewhere. I'm like, moving on to the next one on your
Someone
list.
correct that. Yeah. All right, we're gonna change gears seriousness wise.
Oh no. Wait, no, that might be a good thing.
This might be the only actual comedy on my list. Let me see.
Let it be a comedy. Please let it be an actual comedy. Please let it be an actual comedy.
There's no genocide in this comedy at all. There might be, yeah. Anyway,
Only some mild racism.
Adam Sandler's a fairly divisive personality movie-wise. You love him or you hate him.
Yeah, no, I understand the word
Yes.
divisive.
Okay, I was just you were thinking about something.
I was wondering where this is going. I've got to figure. I know exactly what this one is. If you're doing
so, I moved before the internet was readily available.
saying that, it sounds like you're 90. You know, that's from like 89.
Okay, it was available in the library.
Sure.
I didn't have the internet at home at the point where I moved to the middle of nowhere. I had no cable, I had no car, I had no internet.
Sure.
And I actually had no phone. I had a payphone. And I got 3 channels on my TV the second year I was there. While I was there, I owned a couple dozen movies, and some of them got way too much play. And so one of the movies that kind of brings me back there is Happy Gilmore. And I actually, I do love this movie. I get the humor, and I feel like the humor, when you talked about this list, you're like, what kind of humor defines you as a person? I'm like, unfortunately, a guy yelling at a golf ball and throwing clubs into a crowded people is pretty much my sweet spot. It's that and Who's on First. That's really me. Yeah.
Did you just compare Abbott and Costello and Adam Sandler?
No, I put them together at different sides. Yeah.
I didn't compare them. I put them on the same
of this
pedestal.
and a little of that.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
But yes, Abbott and Costello. Happy Gilmore is actually the only one of his really early comedies that I enjoy. Like
When you said Adam
Mr.
Sandler, like,
Deeds,
that's nailed
Billy
it.
Madison. What's the other one? Big Daddy. I don't really.
Madison's the
I
other
think I've
big
seen
one.
all of them once.
Yeah.
And then little bits on cable maybe. But Happy Gilmore is one of my favorite, and it was one that I owned at this period, and so I've watched it probably a bazillion times. And so I find it really quotable. I do enjoy the humor. I think it's his best of those early comedies, not his best.
When was the
movie
last time you saw this?
necessarily. Recently-ish.
Really? Okay. I
Well,
haven't seen it in
I would
20
say
years.
4 years maybe.
Okay.
Something like maybe during COVID I showed it to a kid or two. Off the top of my head. But it's one I like. I will watch this tonight if you want to watch it, which you don't. But
I haven't seen it in so long that I'm not opposed to
Maybe
it.
you would.
But I also feel like I love this movie in
And you
theory,
don't wanna mess
and I
with
don't
it?
want to mess with that love
Yeah.
of this movie that I feel like I might have. You know what I mean? Like I could quote it right now, not
Oh,
verbatim,
yeah.
but like large sections of it. I'm like,
yeah.
that's probably where this one belongs. Like,
Maybe nostalgia's being good to this
right?
movie. Yeah.
Although I
yeah.
would be curious to go back through this and be like, oh, that person's in this. Oh, that
The
person's in this.
cast for this is, I had to write this down because I was going to forget. But the villain was the only one whose name I didn't know. The Shooter McGavin,
McGavin.
Christopher
Ironically, in
McDonald's
SLC
character.
Punk.
Awesome. Is he a villain?
No, he's a dad. Well, I mean,
Pieces of shit for breakfast.
and antagonistic in the sense that you
Yeah,
know you're
he's someone's
anti-authority.
dad.
He's the authority, but he's not like out to get him or anything.
Right. Yeah.
It's two fathers.
Yeah. Exactly. Carl Withers,
Yeah.
Joe Flaherty, Ben Stiller.
Yep.
Oh, Ben Stiller is the most quotable person in this movie. I might like Happy Gilmore because I love Ben Stiller.
Do you hate your grandmother? What are you trying to say here? Ben Stiller can say all the things I've always wanted to.
I quote Ben Stiller from this movie on a daily basis. My kids give me any crap, and I'm like, well, now your back's gonna hurt as you just pulled landscaping duty.
Here.
You will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep. It's basically my parenting manual at this
Holy
point.
crap.
Uh,
Wow.
between that and Are You Too Good for Your Home, like literally maybe daily, I quote this movie. Those ones are locked in, ready to go all the time. I actually saw your hat pin. I couldn't even tell what it was. I knew it was Happy Gilmore before I knew what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I probably enjoy this movie too much. I can own that. This is, I think, my second lowest score. I did just check my Rotten Tomatoes to see how much the chat was going to be angry with me. I wasn't going to change the list. I just wanted to mentally prepare. And I think this.
I think as far as Adam Sandler movies go, this one's pretty untouchable.
IMDb has this the highest rated of his early comedies.
Of his early work,
Yeah,
sure.
early
He's done some
comedies,
good stuff.
Yeah, the first 5 comedies I'm calling them
Yeah.
early comedies. I really enjoy the Drew Barrymore matchups as well as romantic comedies. Wedding Singer.
Yeah, people in the chat were mentioning
50
Wedding
First
Singer and
Dates.
50
Yeah.
First Dates.
Wedding Singer, I really enjoyed. I got it. Of course, it came out later, right? And so I did get it as well on video. Watched it lots of times. That was one me and my wife watched a number of times when we were first married. And so it kind of fit in a similar, space, but a little bit later in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one. And when you asked before, what movie out of all the movies, because when you
The
put
one that shot to the top of your list was Happy Gilmore.
the one that shot to the, let's say, front of my brain was Happy Gilmore, because the way you put this to me was like, what movies define you? What movies define your sense of humor? And I was like, Are You Too Good for Your Home?
See, it's weird when I say this list to people
Yeah.
because I'm like, so like it's you're allowed to interpret it whatever you want. Like it's the
Right.
flicks that make you take whatever that makes sense to you. Like the movies that define you. And whenever I say that, I feel so pretentious and like, what if somebody's like, what do you mean a movie that defines you? Like it's something to distract you for 2 hours from life. It's not supposed to define you.
Right.
Like, it defines me. As I'm wearing an actual movie T-shirt, like, don't look at me.
How was I not terrified to know that Happy Gilmore was the first thing to come to mind on that list? Here comes the putter throw. I could go all night with Happy Gilmore.
I'm sure. Happy Gilmore was Anchorman before Anchorman was Anchorman.
Yeah.
People just sit around and just like throw quotes at each other
I've
for
never
hours.
seen Anchorman. Not once.
Oh,
I've seen like
I don't know if
4 minutes on cable.
I don't know if that's something I should introduce you to, or if you're just good at this point, because it's like 15 years
The
old
moment
now.
has passed.
Yeah, a little bit.
I like Will Ferrell in the same part of my brain that I like Happy Gilmore, probably.
We're way off topic. Well,
Yeah,
not really.
well, we're on comedy.
This show's been a train wreck since we started. Let's be honest.
This is the comedy section of my list. So there we go.
That's not how you do it. Whatever.
It's how I do it.
Anchorman is to Will Ferrell what Happy Gilmore is to Adam Sandler.
Like the best of his crappy
Like the best of his
comedies.
early crappy comedies.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like it's the one that's the most quotable. It's the one that's most rewatchable. It's the good one.
His
He's had
pre-Elf life.
good stuff since then.
Yeah.
Same with Adam Sandler. They start doing some dramatic roles that are pretty okay. But as far as like the early defining comedies go, this is his big one.
Yeah,
That's
I
off
really
topic.
enjoyed Adam Sandler in Spanglish, and I have not watched. I have not seen all of his dramatic roles. I want to see them all because I
I would
really,
say Reign Over Me is incredible. I've only seen it once, but I really enjoyed it.
yeah.
And Hustle is a newer one that's on Netflix
Yes.
that I really like.
Yeah.
And your family's all into basketball. I'm sure
Yeah.
they would enjoy it.
I think I started it, paused it because I wanted to watch it with
Will?
my son.
Yeah, sorry.
and then didn't go back to it. So
Fair.
yet.
I hear good things about
on my
Uncut Gems.
list.
I haven't seen it, but I hear. Anyway, sorry.
Yes. Oh, maybe that's the one I started. No, it was definitely.
Hustle is
Hustle,
more up your
yeah.
alley, I think.
Um.
So the one thing that I'm seeing in chat is that most people aren't necessarily giving you crap for Happy Gilmore so much. They're saying like, this is the only comedy. What about Princess Bride? What about
Okay, let's do honorable mention.
other Adam Sandler movies? What was the other one they brought up? Monty Python. Like there's
Okay, yeah,
it's not so much they're like this is a bad choice.
So when you say
so much they're like,
people, are
what
you
are
mean
these other
Toyota on
options?
the list is bringing up?
Well, Toyota and Windstorm, I believe, brought up a couple as well. Jason Alexander's saying Big Daddy is his favorite Adam Sandler comedy. We have no idea if that's accurate or if he's just being Jesse. It's truly a good movie with some good emotional depth. I'm going to assume he's being honest there. We'll
That
see.
sounded right. Yeah. I
Did
didn't
you see
hate
50
Big
First Dates?
Daddy. It would be my next favorite of the older ones before I would say before Wedding Singer, and then from Wedding Singer I consider more romantic comedies. But
Sure.
what did you say?
Well, I was going to say
50
we got
First Dates?
two comedies. So Jesse's saying Big Daddy's a good one, which I feel like is an actual comment, and then he's saying Hubby Halloween or Hoobie Halloween or whatever that is has become a Halloween staple for me. I'm not sure if that's an accurate statement or not because that movie is unwatchable.
I did not finish Hubie Halloween, and I was gonna try again, but I have not tried again. I was gonna try again the following Halloween. Anyway,
From where you were before, just do it over the course of like 6 Halloweens. You'll finally get through this movie.
I don't turn off movies very often,
Same.
but I get interrupted watching movies so often.
I feel you so hard on that. Where like there are times where I will turn a movie off because I have to do something, and I'm like, I'll come back to
I'll
this,
be
and
definitely
I don't.
watching this.
I
yeah.
can say one movie ever. I think that I was just like, I'm not turning this back on.
Yeah,
Where I'm just like,
I've
I'm
never
done
made
walking
the
out.
decision like I hate this movie. I will not watch it. I'll watch it and then decide I hate it, and I should never have watched it. But unless it's on TV and I'm channel flipping, that almost never happens.
I have a story for you for when we're off.
All right. Oh, excellent. I love that. So I'm going to do some honorable mentions. These are, and I said before we started, I had to warn my family because they take these too intense. They were going to be more surprised by what wasn't on the list than what was. Hopefully, as I've been going through and you get the biographical flavor, some of that's made sense. The one I struggled with the most was A New Hope. Because I have loved that movie all the way along. And it is one, I think we're talking about video disc technology. And that was one we owned on video disc when I was young.
Yeah. I totally took the cop out on this and I just put Star Wars on my list. Because I was just like, it's hard to choose which one it would be because like Empire Strikes Back is more like important as a film. It's a better made movie. I just have no desire to watch it because I've seen it so many times. Whereas like Force Awakens is arguably a bad movie, but it's fun to watch. Like I don't mind going back to it because it's easier to just turn your brain off and put popcorn in your face to that than it is to like New Hope or Empire. Even though undeniably those are better movies. So I just kind of put Star Wars on the list because I like Star Wars.
That's quite a cop-out.
But it's not like, man, I really go back to these often.
I really only need the original trilogy.
That's fair.
That is the beginning, middle, end of Star Wars for me. That's the universe. After that, whatever. I've watched everything. I enjoyed everything. I saw, like, seeing episode 9 in the theater was like a great experience because I was seeing episode 9 in the theater because I was seeing episode 9. Okay, there were rumors.
There's judgment.
Rumors. There were rumors. I'm not saying the movie. I'm saying the experience.
Sure. Okay.
There were rumors in. To me, there were rumors because I'm too young to,
Yeah, there was no
whatever.
internet back then.
Yeah, shut up. But yes.
I mean, legitimately, there wasn't in the 70s when the movie came out. I'm assuming where you're going with
I
this.
was like maybe late 80s, early 90s. I heard someone had heard George Lucas give an interview where he talked about the reason it was episode 4 was because there's 9 movies. Yeah. And I was like, there's 9 movies? That's how it sounded like through the 90s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, no, I knew there was 3
10 minutes
movies.
ago.
Yeah. It was an hour. And so I've been waiting for episode 9 for over 30 years, right? And so the experience, I got to go with my son, his best friend, and a good friend of mine, all went to this movie together. And so the experience of, like, after all of this, I'm seeing episode 9 in the theater was huge. That was amazing. So until it started, it was already a great experience.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying it went up or down from there. It felt like a Star Wars movie. It just felt like all of the other Star Wars movies with
I understand
no
what you're
point. But yeah, that's another whole discussion.
All right, so Star Wars is on your list.
Honorable mentions now. Star Wars.
Sorry.
I'm getting so
Toyota.
much hate.
Can confirm Scooby-Doo voice in the 90s.
And then the crossovers. I wanted to touch on some crossovers. Sure. So you mentioned Princess Bride, A Few Good Men,
Yep.
Good Will Hunting. Did you hit all those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
My list had good
Did you also hit Tombstone?
Yep.
Yeah. So those were all crossovers that I did not have on my list because of the way I define my list.
And I was going to say, ironically, Tombstone's 100% on my list because of you.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
more
I
so
knew
than
that
the
when
other
you
ones.
said it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's me.
Yeah. I had an impact.
Because I bought it on VHS.
Yes.
And
then
you
left
had
it
no
at home.
choices.
Yeah. You were mentioning how you only had certain VHSs when you were at West. You took the good ones. I had what you had left, and I watched Ghost in the Darkness so many times.
I'm sure I had Tombstone with me, but I brought it home for the summer.
heard of Assassins other than your movie collection. I'm just going to throw that out there.
As I was
Nobody
saying
has
that
ever
about
brought it
having
up.
no channels, I was like, I should have put Assassins on the list. No one's ever heard of that.
No one's ever heard of that movie. I've seen it so many times.
Underappreciated films night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much
Spoilers.
crossover.
Yeah. Princess Bride, you mentioned. So if we were just going for, 25 favorite movies I've enjoyed the most, watched the most, quoted the most, watched with my friends the most in my life, we'd have hit like 89 Batman, probably Aladdin, probably Braveheart, probably Fight Club, probably Office Space. Office Space, I was going to make a joke to you because I'm brave. That is my favorite Kevin Smith movie. Because it feels like a vibe like Kevin Smith was what my kids would
It's
say.
like a 90s indie movie.
It's
So
that,
you'd be like,
yeah, but it's not a Kevin. I know it's not a Kevin Smith
no, it's a Mike Judge movie.
but it's just out of those movies that have that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I get what you're
that
saying.
one.
It's
I like 9/10 of Clerks. Yeah, I'll let you guess. Yeah. I really like Clerks too, but whatever. Anyway,
Clerks as well.
yeah, Grant's not
Clerks
watching anymore. Clerks also.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, as well as you.
Yes.
We talked about Wonderful Life, Christmas Carol, and the Christmas List.
Wonderful
Those are
Life was the one I
huge.
thought you were going to say when you didn't like it as a kid. It was a 57.
Oh,
I was like, okay,
yeah,
I know where this is
yeah.
going.
No, that would have been a good guess.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of me movies that
Sure.
didn't make the list, but that would have been
Why would they? It's only a list about you.
You said movies that defined you, and I felt like watching some of these movies were turning points,
Sure.
and watching these movies was super enjoyable. So if it was like 20 movies that gave you a ton of joy, Holy Grail,
Yeah.
right? Like those would be on there for sure.
I'm giving you a lot of crap because it's honestly fun for me.
Oh yeah,
But honestly, I'm really liking the way you are making this list.
Room.
Yeah. I'm choosing to take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I actually do really like the way that you're making this list. It is very personal to you, and I'm very curious. Like, I feel like I actually am learning more about you, and you're putting movies on my list that now I need to feel like I have to go back and actually rewatch. So
Awesome.
I'm enjoying this quite a lot, but I'm also really enjoying ribbing you as we're going.
I think both are brotherly.
Yeah. If it was dry, we wouldn't have anybody watching us. So, mom and dad, but that's pretty much it.
Exactly. They're so sweet. I think my mother called me cool today. So I can still say my mother thinks I'm cool. She's alone in that. Always has been, but at least she does. Got me through the bullying.
You have a wife and 9 kids, and it's still your mom that has to think you're cool to give you freaking...
No, I was just saying also. Like any one of my kids thinks I'm cool. Do you have kids?
The youngest one might still be delusional.
I think she's past it.
All right.
It's not that young. Okay, so okay, I gotta finish this up. So I was talking about being alone in the wilderness, and the Happy Gilmore. No channels, no internet. Oh, you can see the chat and I can't. That's really cheating.
Sorry, Windstorm, your mom would be so proud to see you on this show. She sounds like a wonderful person.
Windstorm gets me. Yeah, he gets 90s John way too well. Yeah. So I introduced Happy Gilmore as a movie I watched way too much because I was alone in the wilderness. And this is actually a duo. This is 2 movies that just kind of represent that time. Happy Gilmore is the comedy, and Desperado is the action movie.
Yeah, okay.
I loved this action. I was going to make the same joke that this is my favorite Quentin Tarantino because I thought I got to have a Quentin Tarantino on this list. I love Pulp Fiction. And no disrespect to Reservoir Dogs, but I was just going to make a light joke that it kind of fits in that vibe. I mean, Quentin Tarantino's in this movie.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino
probably it's Robert Rodriguez, right?
Made, really.
It's Robert Rodriguez, right? Like
it's Robert Rodriguez.
Friends. They've made movies together and whatnot. Like
so
it's
Robert Rodriguez made El Mariachi on like $40 and a prayer. And I think Quentin Tarantino had just kind of hit it big with Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And I think he really was the driving force towards Desperado getting made the way it got made. With the quality, with the cast. I mean, it brings in...
It's a significant step up from El Mariachi.
Yeah. And that's not a criticism of El Mariachi. They're different movies. El Mariachi blew my mind as a movie you could make with, I think it's $40,000 or something ridiculous.
That was Clerks for me, but yeah.
Yeah. And so I did see Desperado first. And I think it introduced a lot of these people to us. And I have seen this movie way too much. I've not yet introduced it to my kids, but I've thought about I will, and they'll enjoy it. And the action is I'm not a huge action movie person. I don't need to watch a new action movie just because there's a new action movie.
Sure.
But this is an action movie where I love the action. There's somewhere I can just like respect the action, like a Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee movie or something. This is one that's just so fun to watch. And it kind of gives me that swashbuckling Robin Hood, Errol Flynn kind of thing in a totally different package with really cool guns. And so
a guitar case package, as it were.
So don't even start. I'll watch it tonight. This is so good. For me, this is like, yeah, I was, you were flicks that make me tick. This is my idea of the perfect action movie.
That's fair.
And I say that saying Pulp Fiction is not just an action movie, but this is just an action movie. There's action in Pulp Fiction.
I was going to say, like, I wouldn't put Pulp Fiction as an action movie at all.
Head. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Just differentiate. Because I referred to it earlier.
Sure.
but it's a great cast. The dialogue is fun. There's a ton of good laughs in this, and the action is over the top, but awesome. Yeah, I just love so much about this movie. And I will
introducing
say,
Selma Hayek.
Selma Hayek. I think, and I was going to check this, and I didn't fact check myself. I think this might be at least my introduction to Antonio Banderas. Is that? Do you know if that's right?
I mean, I can't say whether or not it's yours, but I think this is early in his career. But I want to say he probably did like.
I'm sure there's like 3
Spanish
soap
televisions and like soap opera stuff like that.
I think
before
both him and
but
Selma
I think
Hayek
this
I've
is
seen
Selma
in
Hayek's
earlier movies.
Really, I thought this was her
Foreign films. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is their first
Americanized
North American.
This is a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, okay.
For sure, yeah. And
it was my introduction to Selma Hayek.
Steve Buscemi.
That conversation took a different turn.
Yeah, I just kept moving right through that. Keep moving. You don't have good enough air conditioning for that. Settle down. Yeah. Speaking of sexy people in this movie, though,
Steve Buscemi.
Oh, we moved on from that too.
Oh, okay.
I do 1,000% believe that this movie, if not the reason, is a major factor in growing my hair out the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas has long hair.
Every time I put my hair in a ponytail to this day, even if I do it several times a day, I am watching Antonio Banderas put his hair into a ponytail in a shit little, Mexican hotel room right before he goes to spill some blood.
Can I admit something to you that I've never admitted to anybody else?
You think I look a lot like Antonio Banderas?
Not even the tiniest bit. I look about as much like as what I'm about to tell you makes as much sense as you looking like Antonio Banderas. So be prepared for that one.
I'm ready.
The reason I have this beard that like I don't shave the top of it, just kind of grows up like this, John Wick.
Okay.
100%. I was like, that is a great look. I'm just gonna go with that. Where it's just like it's a little bit beyond whiskers, but there's no topping there. It's just like I'm just gonna let it grow up as far as it goes. I'll keep it down here so I don't have like the neck beard.
Yeah.
Like I understand what you're saying, but like the long hair thing was never in the cards. Right. So you got to go with what you can go with.
Yeah, there was a few influences. Jim Morrison. There's definitely I was into '60s, late '60s, early '70s music, and so there was a few different converging things. Also, I could do nothing to look cool at all. And I was like, might as well try that.
I like how you say that past tense like it's changed.
No, at the time I decided to grow it. I didn't say it's changed. My mom thinks I'm cool.
Yeah.
In fairness, your mom thinks I'm cool. How about that? Wow, we're off track. Also,
I don't even know where the rails are anymore.
We lost them. Wherever they are, we lost them. Yeah.
The rails are a dot
to you. This movie, by the way, Desperado, while we're on it, 90% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty good.
Not as good as El Mariachi. But
what?
When 91.
That's surprising to me.
Well, they're critics, yeah. It's the more beautiful movie for
This is a great look on you. I don't know which one you're talking to, and I don't want you to clarify.
We'll both take that.
Yes.
Yeah.
My audience thinks
I think
I'm
it's
cool.
My mom texting us now.
Windstorm actually is our mom in disguise.
Yeah. Oh wait, it's your mom texting us now.
Our audience is actually smaller than I thought it was. It's just the same people on YouTube and on Twitch texting us under different names.
What you get for Twitch supporting your parents. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Funny.
Sorry, I don't want to see your list.
All right, skipping ahead. So. Usually, everyone but Ross and I.
Ross Geller?
Yeah. Okay. Usually, you go through a relationship and then you have a breakup.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
I'm so curious where this is going and terrified at the same time.
That's the A and the B, is it not?
Yep. Is this a post-beach movie? Let's just say that in code.
Oh my word!
Is it?
Wrong story.
Okay,
you're in the neighborhood.
Oh no!
Right coolness level. you're right 90s era John. Yep. Let's say that.
Cool.
Some of us go like aiming for relationship, friend zone breakup. heartbreak recovery. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so there's never an actual relationship to be heartbroken over.
Yep.
But that never stopped me.
The fat kid in me is relating to you really hard right now, so go for it.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I went straight from worshiping from afar to, not laughing
Crying
at my
over you
jokes
from afar.
Exactly. I just see you as a friend that I don't want to be friends with anymore.
I just see you as a friend, Jeremy. It's Jonathan. Whatever.
I wouldn't want to risk the friendship that we have. Yeah.
This breakup movie feels like a Jonathan villain story or villain origin story.
Pretty much. Don't skip ahead. So I had one of those things happen to, that happened to nice guys like
Sure.
us.
Oh no! Don't lump me in with you on this. You sound like
You
an
lumped
incel.
yourself in. I'm sorry. And so I came home for a summer,
Okay,
and I was
so we're like
fairly
97-ish.
fairly jewels kicked by a non-relationship, and I was working. This is a dark time in the timeline. He's not wrong. I was working an overnight job where I could sleep. None of my friends came home from college. Next to none of my friends came home from college. And I basically spent my days, because you were there.
No, I'm reading somebody's comment.
I spent my days working out in the basement, riding my bike, playing basketball alone in that crappy basketball hoop in the backyard.
Yeah.
There should be sad music.
There is sad
montage
music
for
in my
that.
head. There is the saddest of music, and it's all in the
It's
rain.
the summer Low Self-Esteem came out. Yeah.
No,
Look
it's
it up.
not. No.
Check it.
No, Low Self Offspring?
Yeah.
That's like 94. You wouldn't have been.
All right. Okay. It was after.
Is this a movie show or Oprah?
Anyway, I watched Pink Floyd's The Wall, the movie, every day of that summer.
I remember
Maybe
that. I did not know that was
100
why.
times I watched that movie. Nobody should watch that movie 100 times. At
Or for
all.
that reason.
Ever. It's not really directly related.
No.
But this was like my heartbreak era movie. Was you should go watch Pink Floyd 1,000 times.
I'm just
Yeah.
picturing you working out in the basement. All in all, you're
Exactly.
just another brick in the wall.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how that
I was there.
whole summer.
Oh my-
300 days of that. Yeah.
You know the internet's forever, right? Like this is just out there.
I thought we were editing.
Oh, okay. Even in quotes, working out.
I said it. I said quotes.
I know.
Uh,
All right. Tell me
right.
about Pink Floyd's The Wall.
oh my goodness.
I've seen it, but
That's all I had to say about it.
with the preamble was there.
That was it. Yeah,
Fair enough.
Preamble. Yeah. It
So I saw this with you a couple of times.
I would
You
imagine
watched it
that summer.
so much, and we didn't have that many TVs.
So did I watch it 100 times that summer? I bet I did. Yeah,
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was on the daily.
I watched it again with a couple of friends in college years later.
Okay.
This movie does nothing for me.
Okay.
When I was 14, when I was 20, like it's just one of those
has,
like,
probably never will.
oh look, Hammer's dancing. What the frick am I watching?
Marching. That's
Sure.
important to the story.
Oh,
Pink Floyd as a band was already pretty big for me.
yeah, and that's
I was
it.
a
They
fan
never
of the
hit for me.
music for a couple of years before I ever saw the movie. The reason it ties into that non-relationship breakup is because that person gave me secondhand a whole collection of CDs.
So the person you didn't break up with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, couldn't because I didn't go out with.
Well, yeah, that's important part of the breakup.
I just,
Integral.
if I could have managed that, I probably could have managed the breakup. Yeah.
Could have managed the getting
Yeah,
together.
we got it together. Yeah.
Well, I can almost guarantee the breakup would have happened if you managed to get together.
Yeah. Turns out. So anyway, so the music, it was all tied in together. We're both fans. And then watching the movie on repeat. It's there's some darkness to the movie. Yeah. The live action sequences in between the hammers. Yeah. But
the hammers are what I remember, but I know that I've seen it multiple times.
Yes. Do you appreciate the music at all?
I'm not a big Pink Floyd fan.
Okay.
Like there's a couple of songs here and there, like Brick in the Wall is fine. Money I actually really enjoy. Numb is a good song, but like not enough to put like a
Numb is an amazing song.
Sure. But not enough that I could put like a greatest hits album together.
Sure. Okay. You're not making yourself a mixtape?
Not so far. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate
I can't believe someone followed that. Yeah, okay.
I don't like Pink Floyd. This is the guy I want to watch.
Either. I need a movie expert.
Give it like 8 seconds, the number will go back down again.
Okay, enough of that. I have nothing to say about the movie.
No, that's fair.
I mean, the movie is the music. The music is the movie.
It's the summer of Jonathan.
Summer of Jonathan imploding.
Yeah. Jacob Holmes is here. How you doing, Jacob? Good to have you. He's a longtime follower of the show. Jason Alexander. I keep doing Jason. It's Jesse.
Jason?
No, it's Jesse. It's Jay Alexander. My brain just makes him George. His dad, he mentioned many times that his dad actually owned or worked in a movie theater as a projectionist.
Awesome.
So he's seen a lot of movies back in the day that way. So he was saying he saw Pink Floyd The Wall on 35mm on his 13th birthday at a birthday party. Let's just say it was awkward.
I would have had to go home early from that birthday party when I was 13. Yeah.
No doubt.
Mom, can you come get me?
I'm going to want to take a quick bathroom break. Do you want to vamp or do you want me to throw an ad on real quick?
Let's go to an ad. I can need a break and a drink.
Cool, guys. We'll be back in like 10, 30. We'll be back in a minute.
2 minutes.
We got a stupid little ad here you can watch, and then we'll be right back to you. Don't go away. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mongooly Show. If this is your first time here, let me introduce myself. My name is Dan. You can call me Mongooly. We do a lot of fun things on this channel. We play a lot of Marvel Strike Force, probably way too much if I'm being honest, but it is the bread and butter of the channel. However, we do also like to touch on things like new games coming out on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox, even some Steam. We do once in a while go back and play some retro gaming, which is a lot of fun. We even talk about movies, TV shows, things coming out. Once, I even went outside and touched grass. Nope. We usually hang out on Saturday mornings and a couple other times throughout the week as my schedule allows. Hit that follow button so you know when we're going live so that you can come hang out, but don't take my word for it. Here's what some other great content creators have to say about the Mongooly Show.
Mongooly is rapidly becoming one of my favorite new content creators in Marvel Strike Force.
Who the f*** is Mongooly?
I'm sorry, what did you say? Mongoli? Who's Mongoli?
Mangoli. Mangolui.
Mobley? Monoguli? Shut up!
Mowgli. It's the Mongoli show. Oh, that's not. Yeah, he's not a sponsored stream.
Mongooly, turns out, is not Red Guardian.
The Monoguli.
It turns out Mongooly's just Mongooly.
Have you guys seen the Mongooly show? If not, go and check him out.
What kind of name is Mongoli?
It's an O. The Monogooly show. Show some support to the Mongoliolio show.
Can you shout out Mongu, whatever that guy's name is?
Anyways, hit that follow button so that you never miss an episode so you know when we go live. That'd be greatly appreciated. Or head over to youtube.com/The Show. Hit subscribe over there so you can see some back episodes as well as event videos, stuff like that coming out in the future. If you do see me live, make sure you say hello. It is greatly appreciated. And as always, everybody, good luck to you.
Mongooly is the coolie.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. One of the only times that my ad wasn't long enough for my bathroom break, but here we are. This guy plays MSF as little as possible. Let's see. The most awkward Pink Floyd moment in movies is Comfortably Numbed. When A cracked out, Leonardo DiCaprio had weird sex with his therapist. In The Depart.
I can't read this.
I don't remember that at all. Let him vamp. Turn on the song. Turn on the song. All right. So Jacob actually is an editor, amongst other things. Wears many hats. Worked with people you would know, like Clinton. Clint Eastwood and some other people.
Yeah.
Actually did make a intro for us for this channel, which is actually pretty cool. So we'll show that to you after this. And when I edit it, this will be part of it, which is really cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, MSF. It was a stream. I missed it for the fireworks as soon as I got logged out. Went to an ad. Sorry, we are back. We just had to do a quick bathroom break. And of course, now I get regular ads. Yeah. Sorry. I hope everything that was supposed to came out. It's a little personal, but sure. All right. So, Jonathan, make sure the camera's back to sounding decent. You said you got a couple more movies left to go. What's next on your list?
To go.
Yeah, Shark. This might be Sharky. The world premiere of the movie and show.
Oh, excellent. The next movie doesn't have as much as a biographical tidbit, but one that just fits on, I think, any list I'm going to make, is The Godfather for me.
Okay. You were actually wearing a Godfather shirt like 2 days ago.
I was, yeah. I was like, don't wear that.
Poor timing.
Spoiler! I love The Godfather. I don't know how other people watch it. I watch it as a tragedy.
Oh, okay.
And so that message is the reason I include on this list and not, the other list of, this is John's favorite movies. It's the messages that, as you follow Michael from the beginning, where he's like still in his war uniform, he's got this happy-go-lucky kind of relationship. He's talking about, that's my family, that's not me. Even the way Kay's dressed, right? She's in this light dress and the floppy hat, right? And that undertone of like, you can waste your life. You can go over to the dark side. You can lose everything that's important to you, right? And that's kind of what happens in the relationship between them, right? And that's where the movie ends, of course, the famous scene, right? She's walked, kind of forced out of the room. They just had this big fight, and the door closes on her. And it's the secrets and the lies, right? And it's, she's dressed totally different, right? It's much more serious and somber.
Sure.
And so, you can waste your life. You can deceive yourself, right? And there's a lot of other things, and there's lots of other things that have been said about The Godfather. There's lots of other things that could be read into it and intended by it. And I don't think by any means that's the main point of the movie necessarily. But for me, that's the thing that jumps out of this movie, is to watch this movie as a tragedy like you would read Hamlet. So
why does this speak to you or stand out to you?
I think that's...
Like, I don't think of your life as being particularly tragic.
Oh, I wasn't saying that.
Okay.
A tragedy is like a cautionary tale as well.
Oh, okay, fair
right?
enough. Like, you could have gone to the dark side of the family business, but instead you moved to Manitoba and just got out.
Cut anyone's horse in pieces, but
good.
No, just a sense of how you choose to live, right? More in that vein, right? And so I think, everybody's living on the razor's edge between the light and the dark side, right? And so in that sense, it's personal for anyone. I think anybody can get something out of Hamlet, or get something out of Macbeth, or get something out of The Godfather. And so I just see it as a movie, great literature, sort of in that vein, right? And so it's in a modern kind of context, or now not that modern kind of context, but that's what that movie's always meant to me. It was one I did watch again, watched Alone in that movie period in the 90s when I was just kind of exploring. Really, I explored, I think, a lot of myself by watching a lot of movies. I watched a lot of movies I didn't get anything out of, and probably a lot of movies went over my head because I was 16. And this is one that just resonated from the first every bit of it all the way through, right? The score is amazing. There's nothing I can say about this movie someone else hasn't said
No,
about this
for
movie.
sure, for sure.
So I'm just highlighting this one little corner of what it speaks to me, I guess.
It's also just an incredibly cool movie. When you're going back through a lot of old classics, stuff like that, there can be a lot of ones that feel a little dry, feel a little bit dated, and this one still does hit in a specific way. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can watch this one today, and while it does feel older, it doesn't feel like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah, other than the 70s fashion, it really does feel like a timeless movie. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's made in the 70s. It's set in the, across the earlier part of the century. Yeah, but so I was just focusing on the point as far as how I interpreted it, I guess, as much as anything. More than, like I said, there's not a strong biographical
Sure.
hook to that one. But that's kind of the message I was left with from that one.
Fair enough.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, there's a million things. I mean, you literally read books on this movie, so there's nothing really I'm going to add to any of that conversation.
It's kind of the problem with, like, we were talking about
some of
Citizen
these-
Kane like a month ago.
Yeah,
And it's like, I don't have anything
What do you
new
want me
to
to
say.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't like it. What else is there, right? Like, I'm not going to blow anybody's mind with my take on Citizen Kane or The Godfather or something. It's like,
Exactly. Yeah. I just wanted to, that is my,
it fits your list. It makes your
Yeah.
criteria. It's on there.
this is one of the things that stood out to me when I first watched it. And as I've rewatched it over the years, because I've come back to it a number of times, it just gets stronger.
Yeah.
And the thing that's kind of grown on me is this, like, this is a epic tragedy, right? And it's not some cool guy becoming even cooler as a gangster and, he used to have no power and now he's got all the power. It's like his whole life friggin' falls apart. This is not what his dad wanted for him. This is not what his wife wanted for him. This is not
This is
what
what he wanted for himself.
for. This is not what he wanted for himself. And here we are, right? And if you see it that way as a train wreck, that's my personal kind of take on it.
Sure.
So that's why it made the list in that way.
Okay. So we've gone through the vast majority of your list, and
Yes.
we've hit, like, what, 98 in your lifespan? Like I guess this is for movies that make you, that kind of makes sense. There wouldn't be anything like super recent. Do we get recent? Don't jump.
The rest of the list is what you're going to call the modern era. I'll say after I'm married.
I was gonna say, like, do we get any, like, no more heartbroken breakups or discovering yourself, but like who you actually are takes? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I would say The Godfather's already in that era, because I'm saying this whole idea of kind of, it's not a cool gangster movie that's got an awesome score and great acting. It's a terrible tragedy.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a shift from when I saw it alone, 16-year-old John with his movie critic book open on his lap, and watching it now at 30, 35, 40, 45 and getting something new out of it, right? It was just a brilliantly made movie the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And as I go back to it, I'm like, this is why it is timeless. This is why it's impactful. This is why it works for everybody everywhere to watch a movie about gangsters from 50 years ago.
Sure.
Right? Now 70 years ago, I guess. Yeah. And so that was just trying to fit that niche. And so, yeah, we're already kind of now and we're in adult John living adult life, married with children and whatnot.
Yes. Okay. Jesse would like to hear more breakup stories with awkward incel workout undertones.
Boy, do I have so many.
He's not wrong.
So good. It's so sad. Just rewatch some Cobra Kai and you'll be fine. You'll get it.
All right. What's next?
Okay. Next movie is my only repeat. We've talked about this movie before.
Okay.
I was harassed for this movie before.
Oh, no.
No,
Modern Era.
Wait.
We've talked about it.
not the one you think.
I hope not.
The other one.
Oh,
No, this is Story of Us. This is a not very romantic comedy with Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer.
right. Okay.
Rob Reiner wrote and directed it. I believe he wrote it. He definitely directed it. I'm sure he wrote it and directed it. His wife is cast in one of the roles. I'm sure not as herself. And he's also in the movie. And so this is not the first movie I saw with my wife, but this is one we saw kind of early on in our marriage. And it's kind of this like a lot of this one is the only rotten movie on my list. When I made my list and then I went back and checked the tomato meter, which I don't actually use Rotten Tomatoes at all, except when I'm doing research for this. I like IMDb more. But this gets like a 26% from the critics, is like a rough slog according to them. And it is a
nostalgia glasses are pretty strongly.
I watch
placed in
this
it, like-
regularly.
No, but you said this is one of the first things you watched with your wife. Like
Right.
that would impact for sure.
We were probably married by the time we watched this, and we've watched it pretty regularly together. It's a movie. I think I've given you the 10-second synopsis before, but I don't know for the audience. It's a movie where Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer have been married for 18 years or something like that. They are their kids are away at summer camp. While the kids are separate away, they are going through a trial separation and talking about the relationship and kind of where do we go from here. They've basically decided that they're getting divorced at the end of the summer.
How romantic.
Yeah, and this is why I got some shit on the romantic comedy list. And so I see it, and so to be fair, I see it as a drama. I don't see it as a romantic comedy.
I was gonna say,
but because of the nostalgia glasses and watching with my wife, I did put it on my romantic comedy list, which I made way too personal, and that's why it means it here. And I need
Might be
to
a better place for
redo
it.
the romantic comedy list.
Oh,
after
nobody's
I see
watching
the
our redo.
proposal. So anyway, yeah, whatever. That's all I have to say about that.
That's totally fair. Sometimes
for
movies just say you
us,
don't have
it
to have a
was
good
like when we would kind of quote back to each other and stuff like that. You see them.
You and your future wife would quote back the divorce movie to each other. I hate you. No, I hate you more. Oh, what a great time, honey.
We chose different parts.
I hope
to
so.
refer back to. No, I was quoting the movie when I said that.
We weren't actually fighting. Don't you remember Bruce Willis?
Exactly. That was a quote. He totally said there was a montage of him saying that. Yeah.
I will have conversations with my wife where I will like quote something and she'll just look at me blankly. I'm like, it's a movie. She's like, okay. I know that it is. I just don't know what it is. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
We saw this after we've been married a couple of years, but not very long.
Yeah.
So we were all together. What was I going to say? Anyway. You go back in time to travel through their relationship. And you do see happier moments.
Okay.
Right. And one of the comments that comes up is like, these people are miserable. They should have killed each other. And they want an action movie.
You don't go to see Bruce Willis for a romantic comedy.
Yeah. But I like people talk about them having no chemistry. I thought they were great together. But the whole point of the movie is that the relationship is strained. So,
you wouldn't
think it through.
think they should have amazing chemistry.
Right? So anyway, that's all I'm going to say on the internet about that movie. Yeah.
Fair enough. Sharky wanted you to know that Bruce Willis was actually going through his divorce with Demi Moore at the time of filming that.
That's right. When I was looking at it as a romantic comedy, I saw that on IMDb. It's an awesome point, but
really adds to the romantic comedy of the situation.
I see it as a drama.
On top of this, the main actor was actually having his heart broken in real time.
I promise to never mention this movie again on your show unless I want to. In which case I will.
Until at least the next episode.
That's right. Best action movies with Bruce Willis.
Jonathan, I shared a great rom-com with my wife. It's called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? He gets us.
I'm moving on.
Yeah, okay.
Already moved. What's next?
When I say what's next, I mean what's next. A lot of West Wing in this house.
It's always going to be a thing. Oh, interestingly,
Uh-oh.
side note.
I didn't think we were talking about this movie anymore.
No Aaron Sorkin on this list.
Feels like a crime.
I knew it was going to get me in trouble. That's it. No.
I just wanted to break your heart and move on.
While I was doing this list, I noticed there's a number of TV shows that have significantly impacted the way I think. But that didn't come up, so I didn't get into any of that. I left alone because it's movies.
I have to assume West Wing makes that list if they're allowed.
Well, that's kind of where I was thinking, but I was actually like just a number of movies that things I thought of that were not fair game because they're not actually movies.
Sure.
So for instance, I don't have a war movie, but Band of Brothers would be in the top 3 if I was doing this.
That's
Whatever.
fair.
Anyway.
Toyota wants to know why there's no Sorkin on your list. Also, Jesse is very upset that Malice isn't number 1. As per Jesse.
Jesse. If I was making a top 50 Aaron Sorkin, then it probably would have made the list.
Default.
At number 50. Okay, moving on with no segue at all whatsoever. This is a movie from 1996. I'd seen it earlier. How am I going?
That's called a segue when you start actually moving on with no. Oh, I guess there's no introduction.
Yeah,
The man who needs no introduction
now.
at all. I first saw this movie in 1947. Go ahead.
So anyway, I'd seen this movie, but I found over time, there's another movie. These last few are kind of movies that have taken on more meaning as they've aged a little bit. And so as I've been rewatching, I rewatched again with my kids. Of course, they all hated it because I'm of terrible taste, apparently. This
Follow if you agree.
Wow.
It's only wow if we get a follow.
That's right.
The screen just starts shaking.
This is Mr. Holland's Opus. Oh, I love this movie. Awesome.
I haven't. Okay. Well. Prerequisite. I haven't seen this movie since you moved out.
Okay.
But I remember loving this movie.
So you know that I've seen this movie early on.
Yeah, and I've seen it multiple
over
times,
time.
but just not
Yeah.
since like 96 or 7 or whatever.
Yeah. So
But I think
it
about
was
this
another
movie.
one I owned on VHS. So
I don't
there you
remember
go.
that, but I feel like I've seen this movie more than I should have, and I think of this movie more often than I should.
Yeah.
For something I haven't seen in over 20 years.
First of all, fantastic soundtrack. Like amazing. Although you could say that about a lot of
Toyota's
movies.
screaming at you.
Of course she is. They. There's just a couple of really beautiful scenes in this, and as I've rewatched it, it's taken on a little bit more meaning. And this is the flip side of The Godfather for me in a little ways, and probably just the way it's written. Not that it's on that level, but where The Godfather, his life unravels in a tragic way. In Mr. Holland's Opus, he feels like his life is unraveling in a tragic way. And the deal is the movie is not a tragedy. Right? That what he finds at the end of the movie, right, and the line at the end of the movie is that, you know, he's wasted all this time not having a musical career, not becoming great, but being a high school music teacher. I should have given a synopsis.
Yeah.
I see that now.
Yeah,
It's 30
I see the error of my ways. This
So-
movie that nobody remembers and nobody talks about.
Exactly. This is what's his name? Richard Dreyfuss is a guy who comes out of university. He's got a musical background, musical talent, a musical career on the horizon. He's newly married, and so he takes a job for 1 year teaching at a local public high school to support his wife and family, and wife at that point. And what ends up happening is a lot of real life. And the next thing you know, 20, 30 years have gone by, and you've just caught up with him at a few different points along the way. Any hope of any musical career, any composing that he wanted to do is all kind of slipped away, time slipping through his fingers. And he's just getting older and more frustrated through the movie.
Yep.
He's kind of a bit of a dick, which I think was what my kids didn't like about the movie when they tried to watch it with. They were like, why does this, like, I don't get it. This guy's a jerk. And they're not wrong. But the whole idea, I guess, at the end is that, well, he's felt he was wasting his life teaching public school when he could have been composing, when he could have been great, to tie back to our Whiplash discussion. The whole punchline of the movie is when one of his favorite students, who's gone on to become, I think, the governor or something, comes back, and they play this piece of music he composed. And she says to them, as an introduction to the piece, "We are your opus," and all his former students are playing this piece together. And so I just love that idea that this quote unquote, in contrast
Sometimes
to
you can't see your greatest accomplishment because it's not what you think it's going to be, despite the fact that it's still great.
Well, if you want to say it better than me, you could say that.
I was trying to help you out. You were floundering a little bit.
I was going to say, in contrast to Whiplash, where he was driven to give everything up for the greatness.
Yeah.
And Mr. Allen starts as that guy, essentially, right? That's where he is when we meet him. And it all slips through his fingers. And that, that this hasn't been a tragedy. That hasn't been a waste of his life. It hasn't been a waste of his greatness. It's just gone in a very different direction than what he expected. This movie, I've worked the same job for 22 years.
Feeling it a little
There's
bit.
some things.
Why does nobody sing about me?
I don't want to talk about why it's personal anymore. So, whose opus am I?
Too quiet for the mic to pick up. Now, somebody in chat is mentioning he has an affair with one of his students. I don't remember that, but it's been a very long time since I've seen
with one of his students, but he does have a problematic relationship with one of his students.
Okay. I just looked it up super quickly, and it's like it's not physical, but it's definitely emotional.
They spend too much time together. She's the lead in a school play. I'm glad someone brought this up. Well, it probably was my daughter.
100%.
She
Nope,
definitely
sister.
jumped on me. Yeah.
Also, horrible father abusing his deaf kid. Somebody saw a very different movie than you did.
Watch to the end is all I'm saying. I've seen the movie. I don't need a synopsis in the chat from my baby sister. So I think you do. I know. I can do both sides of that conversation. That's why I don't need to have it.
We also don't need to do it on the air.
I'm gonna watch Story of Us again. That's what I'm gonna
just
do.
go home and have that conversation in bed while you're just.
So, he doesn't have an affair with the student. There is an attraction to this student,
Yeah.
a friendly sort of whatever. And she basically asks to be with him, and he puts her on a bus and sends her away. She's about to leave for New York, and she asks him to go with her.
Okay.
And he says no, and puts her on a bus and sends her away. And I think there's a moment where she tries to kiss him, and I don't think they kiss, or he pulls away after a second, or something like that. For me, and a lot of movies, it's about the punchline, right? The point of the movie is one fell swoop, right? And that's what I liked about that. That's what I liked about that particular the idea of that movie. Yeah.
Fair enough. Do you think Bradley Cooper got the idea from Maestro when he was in his basement workout era watching Mr. Holland's Opus?
What?
We're just asking we're asking the heavy questions here on the Mongoli show.
That's probably
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. They're tired way too much. They're listening too closely. You said they would know be listening. Yeah. Very good.
Is that it?
I have one last movie, but
Okay.
I already know what it is.
Fair
I
enough.
made the list. This last movie, again, this was a biographically pivotal moment for me. But this last movie was the Hugh Jackman's Les Mis, which I saw in theater when it first came out. At the time,
There's so much
I'm
editing I
choosing
need
my
to do.
words.
Like not only like in between movies, but just like
I'll give you a fresh take.
You having a conversation, just you
In my
talking,
head.
is gonna be like that Simpsons clip where you're like, like jumping, ooh, sweet candy, sweet candy. You just see the clock
Just
changing in the
defake the whole
background.
list.
Yeah.
I like Mr. Holland's Opus.
Well, I'm actually going to ditch all of this and just be like, we had a conversation with Jonathan last night, and he said his number one movie, and just like do the entire thing.
Just read your
solo.
list again. Yeah. In my voice. Yeah. Can we get a budget for that?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hugh Jackman's Les Mis. At the time, saw it in the theater with my wife. Probably one of the few, if only, movies I can say that about in the last 20 years. That's not something we do very often.
Fair.
She's like, I
And you
own
went
a
out for the
couch and a TV. Why would I go to a movie theater? I'm like, popcorn. But anyway, at the time we were kind of in discussions about our family and, you know, how we were going to grow our family and different options for that. And there were certain things I did not want to explore. In watching this movie, at one point, the Hugh Jackman character takes responsibility for an orphan. And then the about midpoint of the movie, basically turning point of the movie, is that moment. And the particular circumstance around that, like the scene where that really comes to fruition, you know, she's kind of sad and alone in the woods in the dark, and there's a lot of, you know, anxiety and I think tears. And all of a sudden he just steps in and is like, what are you doing out here? You know, and he just becomes this father figure like almost instantly, right?
Okay.
And he goes and settles some things, and just it's like this one fell swoop, you know. For me, and there's how I've been building this list. That was a pivotal moment internally while I'm watching this movie, right?
Sure.
Is just like, whoa. And so I walked into that movie with a certain set of criteria, with a certain set of expectations, with certain things. And
For the movie or for your life?
for my life.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I
just wanted to
walked
clarify.
out of the movie changed my mind about
Wow.
those things. And
I love that on this list because that's
Yeah.
like the power, like you get
The
it, right? You know what I
power
mean?
of
Like when I say
a
I've seen
movie.
movies and movies have changed my life, this is kind of the stuff
Exactly.
I'm talking about. And I feel like sometimes I mention like this to people, like,
Yeah.
hey, what are the movies that have changed you as a person? They just kind of look at you like, what are you talking about? And it's
Yeah.
like a distraction for an hour and a half. I'm like,
this is a story. You're
We
supposed
don't-
to get something out of it.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
We don't maybe connect on quite the way we thought we did.
Yeah, no, that movie was a very clear, like, in the moment while I'm watching the movie, by the time I walk out of the theater, I think I went to Chapters to buy the book. Spoiler. I got to Chapters and the book was in a movie edition for like $30. I was like, I'm not paying $30. It's been around for 200 years. Anyway. But I had the intention.
Culture shouldn't cost money.
had the intention of buying the book. That's how changed I was. I was impacted.
This movie has changed me as a person, but not for $30. Darn it, I'm still cheap.
When am I going to read 1,500 pages in a row? In one book, that's quite a commitment. Yeah.
Now your sister hates you.
I'd have to watch Story of Us if it was a guy in a book. Yeah. And so I think that was quite a time ago in the list. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
It's probably
fair.
Old Yeller. If I had to time it, I would say Old Yeller was the moment.
I'm not sure she was watching at that point. I don't remember when
Oh,
exactly they
jeez.
came in hot, but
So, no, this movie.
sigh.
In fairness, I did buy the book, and my daughter read it. So I think I get partial credit for raising a kid that reads Les Mis.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay.
You had 14 kids. One of them was bound
One of
to
them
do
was
something
bound to read
cultural.
something
Yeah.
eventually. Leaving up books around. I've seen the play live a few times, the musical, this musical version. We actually
Is there a non-musical version?
shut up.
That was a
Probably
legitimate
not.
question,
No,
but okay.
I just talk too many words
Yeah.
come out. Yeah.
If I just leave it open long enough, things just spew out.
Exactly, yeah. I saw it once here, and I saw a professional production once. I actually performed this when I was in high school, the music from the musical. So I've known the
Mrs.
music,
Huber?
and it's been familiar. No, but yes.
Okay.
Close. Yes and no.
Who were you in
Anyway.
the musical? Background agent number
Oh,
4?
it was choir. It was choir that performed the musical.
Gotcha, okay.
Sorry. So we just performed song selections from blah blah blah. Just to say that I've been familiar with this
Yeah.
for a long time. And so yeah,
Cool.
I got nothing else to say about it right now.
That's totally fair.
I've watched
will-
the movie a number of times since then, and have really appreciated and enjoyed it each time.
Yeah.
And people, various opinions on who does a good job of what, but just enjoy the whole thing.
Yeah. So I don't have a direct story that I can think of where a movie has straight up like I watched a movie thinking one thing about my life. By the end of the movie, I was thinking something different about my life. I don't have that story specifically, but I know. I don't remember what the decision was in life. But there was something in life where my wife and I were not agreeing on something, and she hates this story so much I can taste it.
Good thing we're not on the internet then.
Right?
Yeah.
So
She never
we
watched
were
it.
disagreeing about something. I honestly, for the life of me, don't
Yeah.
remember what, but something fairly major. I was listening to a podcast with Kevin Smith, and he was talking about how surround yourself with people who. Sorry, give me 1 second. Surround yourself with why not people, not why people. If you want to do something, find people who are gonna be like, yeah, why not? As opposed to people who are always like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you try?
Right.
Like, he wanted to make this movie, and he found people who were like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we make a movie? As opposed to all the people in his life who'd be like, why would you do that?
Right.
Like, why would you even bother? And so I can remember that being like,
What's your business plan
yeah,
for this
why
movie?
not try that thing?
Yeah.
And then, like, after Amy fighting me on something for a while, I'm like, you know what? Kevin Smith says, why not? We should give this a try. And, like, just the look on her face is like, we're going to get divorced. Like, it's like, I thought
That's
this,
when you should whip out the story of us.
this was good news, honey. I changed my mind. I agree with you now. She's like, I'm going to kill you so hard. I know
Listen
where
to
you
me, but
sleep.
you'll listen to Kevin Smith.
Well, of course. I'm sorry, babe. I knew him first. What do you want from me?
Oh,
I love you if you're still there.
I hear footprints on the stairs. Is that bad?
Oh, man. Is Les Mis before or after Hugh Jackman had...
It's 2012, but I know this question that I can't read is BS.
Yeah, no, it is and it isn't. It could be a legitimate question, but it's just mentioning
after
it for a certain reason.
Malice.
No, that's not what he's asking.
I can't see the chat.
So there's a movie called The Movie 42.
Yes.
You're aware of
I
this?
know it is a movie.
I couldn't get through it. I got
Okay.
like it's a sketch movie. I'm not a big sketch person, and the sketches are bad, but somehow they got like some of the best talents in the world.
I know the cast list.
Yeah.
That's all I know about the
So Hugh Jackman in that has like the whole gag for like 10 minutes is what if you went on a blind date with a guy who has testicles growing off his chin? Because that's going to be funny for 10 minutes. And you're
It's a
just
little
like,
long.
it's really,
I hope there's not a visual gag.
oh yeah,
Of course there
right?
is.
So like that's just like, is this before or after that?
I don't think I would have made it through Les Mis if I'd already seen that.
That would have ruined it for
Let's
you.
be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
I'm just
watched-
like I can't do this.
I watched Les Mis for the very first time maybe 2 or 3 years ago, relatively recently.
Were you familiar with the music?
No. Sorry. Yes, but I didn't know that I was.
Okay.
So like, you know what I mean? Like you get to certain songs and you're like,
Oh, I know
oh, this is from
this.
this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the story, didn't know anything like that. Very, very basic. Guy went to jail, guy got out of jail,
Right.
bad things happen.
Yes.
Watched the movie, really liked the performances, but didn't like it that much. Like walked away being like, that was really stupid, and I didn't like this character and their motivations. Missing the point entirely that you're not supposed to like him and because his motivations are stupid. And it like went up and like vented to Amy for a little bit, and then sang the songs from this music for 3 weeks straight. Like just could not get it out of my head. And
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, maybe it wasn't that bad. Movie 43 is comedic gold. No. What do you, at least you're... I knew him first. All right, so those are the movies that made you tick. We kind of already
Those
went
are
over
the
how
movies
you
that
made
made
the
you tick.
list.
Yeah.
What was Happy Gilmore was the one that you said came like shooting to the front of your brain?
Fortunately, I have to admit, yes.
But that was partially because of how I asked the
Happy
question.
Gilmore, when you mentioned the sense of humor, that is the first thing that came to mind.
It's a little
I
mind-boggling to me
think-
the Happy Gilmore over like Monty Python. I mean, that's obviously me personally versus you, but
Oh, I love Monty Python, don't get me wrong. And I didn't think of it until you mentioned it on your list.
fair enough.
And then I wasn't going to add it to my list.
You were just going to copy
I had
my
enough
list.
already.
Yeah.
The other two that came to mind, one was The Godfather,
Yep.
and one was Pulp Fiction, which didn't make the list.
Interesting.
But the more I thought about it, that was right for this list. I really,
It was accurate to not have that on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
saving that for your
It's a movie
underappreciated
I've
movies?
seen. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but you guys should check out this Quentin Tarantino character. He's going places.
I've heard good things.
I've heard good things. If he makes one more movie, I think that'll be, yeah, that career is gold.
He's so close.
Yeah. So no, I really enjoy him, and I didn't find, like, I couldn't find a biographical angle on that for me that resonate. I mean, anybody can, yeah, I love the movie, right? But that's, for me, that's a
Yeah.
different
How does it
list.
connect to you specifically
yeah.
beyond just it's a good movie?
Yeah, I remember watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail for the first time. I remember my cousin Tim introduced it to me because he laughed at me getting hurt the day
Sounds right.
before really hard until he had an asthma attack. He laughed at me getting hurt. And I went
Both
to the
halves of that
hospital.
story makes sense. Like him making fun of you and you getting hurt, both completely check out.
Yes, that is biographically accurate. I had to go to the hospital and he was still laughing.
Which makes sense why he laughed
when
so
I
hard.
went to the hospital.
If it was a little pain, it wouldn't have been that funny.
So the next day, he came to me. He's like, "Your parents won't probably appreciate me showing you this."
Great start to a sentence.
And I'm like, "You had me at no." And we watched Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail for the first time. I was like, I think it was grade 10. I think it was right before I went to grade 10.
Wow. Okay.
It was that summer.
Yeah. So I would have seen it probably not long after that.
Yeah.
Which, again, our parents did not appreciate.
It's oldest child, youngest child.
Right.
crap. Yeah.
But like, so for me, it hit way younger. Is what
Yeah,
I'm trying
yeah,
to say. Like,
yeah.
I can remember watching that with Taylor Scrimger.
Yeah, I'd never seen it until.
I don't know why I felt the need to.
Yeah.
We'll edit that.
Just drop some names.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, there's like a little tidbit. And it was cool. Like I saw Last Crusade in the theater with our cousin Ian. And so yeah, there's some fun tidbits, but not as necessarily
impactful.
meaningful.
Fair.
Like that was on your list. I totally got it. I was like, yeah, I love friggin' Indiana Jones. If I was doing my favorite 20 movies, I would do a different list.
Yeah,
right?
no,
But
that's
this was the way I
Less
crafted
Lawrence of
the
Arabia.
list. This was like, yeah, I will probably never watch that movie again. I will never get to 3 watches of
Sure.
that movie, right? I will watch Desperado tonight if you want to watch that.
It's only
not
midnight.
that late. We got time.
You're only around for one more day.
Yeah,
Mind.
exactly. Incredibles should go on my quotable list. Yeah. I'm the greatest good. Never mind.
You good?
I think I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been the Flicks That Make You Tick. It's probably better if I actually know the title of the movie. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. This has been the Flicks That Make You Tick with my brother Jonathan. If you've enjoyed this, we record it live over at twitch.tv/The Mongoolie Show. Head over there and hit the follow button. It is every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about movies over there. You can also hit the like and subscribe button here on YouTube if you want to get more content like that. And we are trying to get back to the point where we can record over on Facebook. So if you want to head over to the Facebook page and give that a follow, that's actually incredibly beneficial. Until next time, I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night. Glad I could be here.
All right. So that's the end of what we're actually recording. We probably will actually sign off in the very, very near future, but how would that go?
I'm glad you're editing it.
Yeah, right?
That ended up being 13 movies.
I can't wait until we go and see your sister tomorrow.
Oh, I am changing my flights. I am leaving.
Watching Desperado and getting on the plane right away.
2 a.m. As soon as Desperado's over, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I loved it. Keep going. Don't sign off. After you cut, you should see the video here. Oh, Jacob, you're still around. I love Jacob to death. He's always like here, but like when he wants something, he's just like, hey, you.
You should do this.
You done this yet?
Yeah.
Well, have you done this yet? You should do this thing. All right. Might as well show Jonathan. We'll get the live reaction here. Found my VHS tape of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Awesome.
Oh, I love freaking Monty Python.
Jesse, come over to my place and watch Desperado tonight. I got pizza pops.
I'm in.
He's an hour away. It's already midnight. It's a 2-hour movie. Would that be for the first time that you're watching at Windstorm? You've never seen it before?
Desperado?
Apparently.
Do you own Desperado?
No.
Okay. I gotta put Assassins on my underappreciated movies list. That's
Have you seen Assassins since like high school?
I still have it on VHS. I've seen it. I think I showed it to my son. It's not bad. It's a stupid 90s action movie. But
Sure.
Yeah. It's not an unwatchable one. I mean,
We
Stallone is
Stallone?
right?
Yeah.
And the technology, like, because isn't she supposed to be like a tech expert or something? And the technology is like DOS.
I don't remember
It's
that.
like a C prompt and a lot of tension.
I remember very little of the movie, but I know I've seen the movie 1,000 times.
Yeah,
But I remember like him trying to like poison the
It's
person
like
from like the
net era,
vents.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sitting in the bell
Oh.
tower, just sweating while he's in the
love
bank.
This movie. Don't get me started again. Yeah.
Oh man. What
There's
was I
so
doing? I was
many
leaning
good
forward
killings.
to.
Oh, that's another one.
Loved it. Keep it going. Don't sign off. Oh, the video. Right. The video.
Yeah, I am pushing Dan for a underappreciated movies list. That is movies I appreciate that you will not. If you're interested in that, tell
I think
Dan
it's- is
to
it-
let me do it.
Would it be more accurate to say it's just movies people haven't heard of? Or like,
you
is
know
it
what?
people like
I
have
think
heard
it's
of but didn't like?
Heard of and haven't watched, because I'm going to go 20, 30 years ago for a lot of those movies. Movies that they watched and forgot existed, because they're movies I forgot existed. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good movie. I'd watch that again. So like, I mean, Mr. Holland's Opus could be an example of that, right? How many people
I was going
saw
to say
it
that's
in
probably an
96?
underappreciated movie.
And at the time it was a big enough hit, and the soundtrack they put on CD and all that stuff. But who's watched Mr. Holland's Opus in the last 20 years? Me.
Yeah.
Probably only me. And it's been once in the last 20 years, probably.
The better Dreyfus performance, Mr. Holland's Opus, or What About Bob? Put you on the spot.
I am gonna say Mr. Holland's Opus. I like Bill Murray better in What About Bob than Richard Dreyfuss.
Literally anything.
First of all, and I am not the biggest What About Bob fan. I I do enjoy it more than I did the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it to enjoy, and then watching again more recently, I'm like, no, this is pretty funny. And I remembered a lot of parts, and there's a lot of good quotes. And
I haven't seen What About Bob in 25, 30 years.
yeah,
But I think of that movie, I think of Grandpa. Because like that was one of the ones that he used to watch and howl. That
Papa?
and Dave. No, Grandpa. Ernest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I never
watched-
saw that with him.
He watched that and Dave a lot, or at least in my head he did.
Seriously.
And so I kind of want to go back and watch it
we grew up
for
in different
that memory.
generations.
I know we did, Old Yeller.
First of all, you millennials.
Come at me. So I kind of want to see it for that reason, but I don't anticipate it hitting all that strong other than nostalgically.
You know, even as Bill Murray comedies, it's not near the top of that list. You know, I would say I enjoy Groundhog Day more than I enjoy What About Bob. But I think it's just the particular energy. Like the idea is Bill Murray is the most annoying person in the world. Is not that great a hook to make me stare at him for 2 hours. You know, like I would rather watch him do the same thing over and over again, apparently, for 2 hours. So
Yeah.
as long as he falls in love at the end.
Jesse's saying that Assassins is written by the Wachowskis, who did The Matrix.
Shut up!
I did no idea if that's accurate. It's
I
Jesse.
am so much more confident. He could be lying to us. No.
Go ahead, be more confident. I dare you. I dare you.
I'm using real Google now.
And then
Trust
Green
your computer.
Green Tuckin has said a
Jesse's
couple of
looking at
times now. He's
computer.
wondering if you've seen Color of Night.
Color of Night.
He's asked like 3 times now.
I've got to look.
I don't.
Is there a
the
reason
title?
he's asked?
The title means nothing to me, so I'm going to say that I probably haven't.
I'm gonna say I probably haven't.
Sharky can't take us seriously anymore.
Color. Who was taking me seriously?
Very few.
Good. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna have to go. Like the screen's gonna go blank for a second while I load something. Just give me 30 seconds of your time.
Scott Bakula, sorry, as maybe the patient. I don't know. Not the erotic one, I hope. Whatever.
Sure.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. What are these for?
So you can hear the song.
Oh yeah, is this a live reaction thing?
Yeah, pretty
Am
much.
I on the internet again?
You've been on the internet the whole time.
You just said no one can hear you.
Yeah, like 8 seconds ago, the black screen, nobody could hear you. Now you're back on. See how
I
you can
wasn't
see
looking at
you?
your screen.
Now you can be seen.
I me.
Okay, Windstorm, we just had to load a different scene. So we're going to show the movie intro that Jacob Holmes made for us. This is a Jacob Holmes production. I think it actually is. The name of his studio is Jacob Holmes Productions.
Okay.
He's told me like 9 times. I really should know by now.
So
I hope
you're
everybody
using
can
this
hear this, including you. Hopefully it's not too loud for you, but it is pretty cool. So we're going to check this out for a couple seconds. We'll be right back. Yeah, Jacob Holmes Production. JBD Holmes Productions. My apologies.
There we go.
All right. Let me know if you guys can't hear this, but otherwise, enjoy.
Mongoli's movie madness, it's a sight to behold. Mongoli's passion for films never grows old. From classics to new releases, he's in the know. Mongoli's movies, let's start the show.
Nice.
That's pretty cool, all right?
That's pretty awesome.
You don't need the headphones anymore. I'm assuming like Jonathan could absolutely hear that. He thought it's pretty cool. I realized I probably should have
Very
put
good job.
I should have put us on the screen as well so you could actually see Jonathan's live reaction,
Oh, I
but
thought
either
I
way.
was on there. Oh, good.
No, that's why you were all good.
That's why I was acting with my cool face.
This is your cool face?
That's all I got.
Okay.
That's great.
I think that's really cool. So that's going to be
An intro
Ahead
to the
of-
show
yeah.
episodes? Awesome.
So I'll do sort of do like the hey everybody, welcome back to Mongolia show.
Right.
We're gonna get into this, cut to that, and then cut to the actual clip,
Nice.
something along those lines.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's wicked awesome.
Who sings in the video? Is that
AI.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
We heard another video. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Did a good job with that.
Excellent. And great movie clips too.
It's midnight.
Did he reference your list? Because there was a bunch of your list on
So
that, on
he
those
he
clips.
made it himself.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need you to put this and this in there.
Okay,
And he's just like, yep, can do.
Done. Nice.
And there's like one or two in there where I'm like, it's classic, but like I don't watch Clint Eastwood, but sure, it's fine. Like it's good, but like it's just like no, like Jay and Bob have to be
He's
in there.
still
The
listening,
Akira
you know.
slide has to be in
When
there.
I saw the Jay and Bob, I like, yeah.
It's
for
my
you, it's
right?
for
Like
you.
it wouldn't make sense if it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you all very, very much for hanging out with us. It's after midnight here. We do have a birthday party to get to tomorrow, so I think we're going to call it. But you guys have been absolutely awesome. If you're not already, please consider hitting the follow button here on Twitch and head to both the Facebook. You can hit !Facebook, !, Discard, or !movies. That'll send you to obviously the Discord page, the Facebook page, or my YouTube channel. All the support you guys can possibly give us would be amazing. We're trying to grow this channel out. We don't usually have Jonathan live here, so it looks
You're
worse, but
welcome.
it sounds better. Ideally,
Don't worry.
Ideally, I want to replace, like I've got two cameras on us at the moment. I want to replace one of those and send the other one to him so that he will look better when he's recording live from home. But it's all a process, right? We're just trying to grow out and get bigger. And it's been pretty awesome. We've had a pretty decent sized chat here with us the entire time. Like it's never been, we haven't been recording to 0 since like minute 2.
Nice.
I'm aware that most of that is our families, but still, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
So thank you all for hanging out with us. You all have a great night, and I will be back Saturday morning for our regular Marvel Strike Force shenanigans. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
We should probably raid somebody, but it's late. I don't know if anybody's on.